A night in with MauLer and the drinker, getting trashed with the web screen dinkers. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop up the cork, have a glass of wine, touch the old say, I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line, but pour me a Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, MauLer and the critical drinker.
What is up, everyone, tonight? I love these icons. Well, everyone, welcome to Open Bar 151. And in honor of Pedro Pascal finally getting a movie role, here we are. It's feast your eyes on this extravaganza. We've all got a little bit of Pedro in us. And that sounded exactly the way I wanted it to sound as well.
We're Pedroing all over the place.
Yeah. It's Pedro time. MauLer, are you ready for this kind of Pedro overload tonight? I don't know if I am.
I'm just awkwardly squeaking right now as I turn things and just hope I get away with this as we do the intro here.
MauLer is absolutely not getting away with this. But to tell you what, to buy you a little bit of time while you set up your microphone arm, would you like some pointless facts?
My God, I would love that.
All right. Well, in this case, it's going to be about 1951. So here you go. Stuff that happened in 1951. Winston Churchill re-elected as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom at the age of like 80-odd years old. So a little bit long in the tooth for it, but he gave it a go anyway. It was also the first Miss World beauty pageant, which held as part of the Festival of Britain. And do you know where it was held, MauLer? The most glamorous of all places for a Miss World beauty pageant. It was in Slough.
Oh.
That must have really got those girls in the mood.
Yes, sir.
But it also saw the invention of the first ever videotape recorder, invented by Charles Ginzburg. Obviously, that was going to become very useful in the decades ahead. And power steering was invented for cars to make steering a little bit easier for weak people who didn't lift weights.
Once again, though, invented by people whose surnames aren't the invention. Very disappointing.
Oh. It should have been called Davis steering in that case. The inventor was Francis Davis, so yeah, missed out there. In the world of movies, though, Alice in Wonderland premiered, which was actually a disappointment at the box office at first and barely got released in theaters. It would go on to become one of the biggest cult classics in animation, and it was going to make millions through TV viewings over the subsequent decades. So, yeah, another movie that got off to a slow start and eventually became like a favorite worldwide. Rashomon wins the Golden Lion at the Venice Film Festival, bringing worldwide attention to Japanese films for the first time. What else? Oh, yeah, and the Wilhelm scream was first used in the film Distant Drums. Obviously, it would go on to be very popular in Hollywood. But yeah, that was the first ever time. It. Yeah, we all know it. It's truly become like a cliche at this point when you hear it. It's like, they're doing that, aren't they?
Yeah, you get mixed results now. Some people are like, ew, sign of grossness, or hey, sign of filmmaking thing. I don't know.
There's another scream that I'm particularly fond of called the Howie scream, right? And John Woo used it in pretty much all of his movies. I don't know how to describe it, except it goes like, yeah!
Yeah.
And it's just gorgeous to listen to.
A beauty.
But it also saw the release of A Streetcar Named Desire, which put Marlon Brando on the map. He'd been largely unknown up until that point, and it actually earned him the first of 4 consecutive Academy Award nominations for Best Actor. The movie in total, I think, was nominated for 10 different Academy Awards, so that did rather well.
Not bad.
Yeah. The top earning stars of that year were John Wayne, Dean Martin, Betty Grable, Bud Abbott, and Lou Costello. They always came as a package deal, I guess. And Bing Crosby. Yeah, there's actually a separate category for top earning Western stars, which tells you how popular Westerns were at the time. I guess this was kind of the heyday, like the late 40s, early 50s for the Western.
Can I just say, Bing, great first name.
It is. It's superb.
Catches the attention.
And in terms of famous people born in this year, Angelica Houston, Robin Williams, Michael Keaton, all born this year. The one and only Kurt Russell, absolute fucking legend that he is. And Mark Hamill.
Yay! Look at him go.
Look at him go, being born and such like. Anyway, that's our pointless facts, and I'm hoping that's bought you enough time to get your microphone arm set up.
Yes, for those who didn't know, I think I mentioned it on Real BBC, maybe I didn't, but I snapped my current one while trying to record. It sucked. I had to hold it together because I needed to get this recording done.
Yeah.
So, but I got a new one, and I've hastily assembled it. I'll need to do a bit more work once the stream is over, but for now, it's up and running.
Yeah. Do you think you can actually wear out a microphone arm just by sheer amount of talking? Seems like you might have done it.
Probably not. Well, I did a lot of grabbing and moving, and it eventually was just like, fuck you. And then I was like, bro, you're going to the dump if you do this.
Going to the dump. I've told you about this, damn it.
You can do this, but it doesn't end well for you.
You rage broke it, apparently. We know the truth.
See, that would be way more interesting. It was the most boring, like, just move slightly to the right. Just went, but I was like,
yeah.
Well,
always the stupid things. It would have been awesome if it had happened on stream, but no.
Throw it across the room.
Yeah. Anyway, should we bring in our fellow Pedros? How does that sound? Yeah. Well, welcome to the bar, everyone. Disparu, Despot of Antrim, and a little Platoon. Here we go. Wait, I have to switch you guys over. Hold on. There we go.
Man, this guy is everywhere.
It's like, no, everyone must be in a certain order.
Yeah.
It is weird you bring up the Wilhelm scream, though, because from games, there is a door squeak from Max Payne and a children's laugh from Black and White that whenever it's used in a movie, I instantly recognize it because I've spent so many hours in those games just with it on loop all the time.
Yeah.
The limited sound effects movies use are actually quite wild. For everything that's made.
The gate opening like squeak is so
it actually hurts. If you're watching something really good and it makes the stock sound, you're like, oh, what a shame.
You know the other one? It's like the truck with a horn beeping as it goes by.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it always blares twice as it goes by, and it's like, yeah, standard stuff. I suppose we should start actually before we get into talking about Fantastic Four. It's been a bit of a crap week for celebrities and passing away. Obviously, we lost Ozzy Osbourne a few days ago, and today we have lost the one and only Hulkster. Sad times indeed. 71 years old, died of a heart attack. It's kind of weird how that just keeps happening to these retired wrestlers. I don't know what the common factor could be, but yeah, bit of a shame, really. Whatever your feelings on him, I guess he was a real icon of the wrestling business for decades.
Absolutely. So I don't know. It feels weird to have Ozzy and Hulk Hogan go in the same week. It feels like just two cultural icons of completely different sort of sectors, but simultaneously just like, oh man, like they're both so iconic.
Yeah.
Especially as Ozzy just did a performance a few days before. It's kind of wild that you can do an entire performance and then just go.
Yeah. I mean, he lived life to the max. I'll say that much for that dude. I mean, he said many times, like, I don't actually understand why I'm still alive. Like, the amount of drugs and alcohol he did puts me to shame. Like, and he did more in a day than I could do in a year.
I still remember on the Osbournes once there was a thing they were doing where they were trying to get a voice-activated car to understand Ozzy Osbourne. And he was just like, turn the radio on. And it's like, we are winding down the windows. Turn the radio on. We are increasing the heat. This is everything except what he wanted. Start shouting at it.
I think, I don't know how accurate this quote is, but God, I hope it's true. It's where he was talking about why he quit doing acid. And it's like he was recording like the third album with Black Sabbath and did like an entire tab of acid. Went outside and ended up talking to a horse in a field for an hour. And he's like, at the end of it, the horse looked at me and told me to fuck off. That's when I realized it was time to stop.
The horse won't even talk to me. So.
I just genuinely love to know from Ozzy's point of view how that conversation went. What topics?
Not very well, obviously.
There was a clip going around. I don't know if you guys saw it. It was from the Osbournes, like reality show thing where he was at the dentist and he was completely high, and they told him to rinse his mouth, and he put the cup to like his ear and started trying to pour it.
The thing is, like, you know how you're usually quite out of it after you've had like a you know, the anesthetic dentist. You wouldn't be able to tell in his case. It's like, have you even administered? Yeah, I don't know. Like, he's pretty much the same. But, oh well. I mean, yeah, it's been a tough week, I guess, for celebrity deaths. But
yeah, Malcolm Jamal Warner as well has died. Which was,
from the Cosby Show.
Yeah, he's popped up in quite a few different things here and there, but I think a lot of people would know him from that. He was in he was a guest star in Community is the last thing I think I saw him in.
Right, yeah.
He's in Fresh Prince as well, but like, and Suits. Yeah, just you know, I was thinking, I don't know if you guys would support this, but I was going to make it illegal to die for celebrities at this point. I think
I would say so. If you try and
Depending
die,
on
you get
celebrity,
arrested.
though. Like there are some that I don't really mind, but there are some that I would rather stick around.
It was all that talk about Mark Hamill, wasn't it? God damn it. Yeah, what's this? Yeah, when we were talking about sounds and stuff that get used in movies, I've heard the auction house ding ding sound and the coin jangling sound from World of Warcraft in TVs, movies, and commercials recently. That's interesting. Yeah, more stuff.
What's the origin for the sound that CinemaSins always use? You know, the clank of the metal. It's in like random movies and stuff. And I was like, who did that start? Where'd that come from? The ching. It's in Bloodborne as well. It's in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. I have no idea where it
really
originated,
popular sound. Whoever made it, you should be proud.
Yeah, you would need to know the name of it, I suppose, because like clanking sound is just going to be too non-specific.
Oh yeah, either you know what I'm talking about, or you're completely baffled by what I just said. So I get it, but it's out there.
What was I going to say as well? Let me take that off. Yeah. So, well, I guess first order of business, gentlemen. You've all seen the Fantastic Four now. And we made a point, actually, if we didn't talk about this at all before we went live. And I've got no idea what any of your opinions are on it, which is, I guess, the way I wanted it, because I wanted to go into this cold. And we'll do, I guess, a bit of a round table so each of you can give your thoughts on it. If I may just briefly go first. I'm kind of surprised to be saying this, but man, I actually quite enjoyed this movie. I didn't think it was too bad at all. I mean, there was definite issues, particularly towards the end. You can tell that third act has been chopped up in the editing bay. But overall, I quite liked the team. I thought they were all pretty good in their own right. I thought even Pedro Pascal, pretty well suited to the role of Reed Richards. Definitely makes a few dumb decisions as a character at a couple of points, which we can talk about. But I thought his portrayal was fine. I didn't think that the girl bossery was anything like what the rumors had suggested, particularly at the end. My only real issue I had, I think, was with Galactus and the Silver Surfer. I actually just wanted to know more about them. I didn't think they were particularly well developed. I would have liked to have had more scenes with the Silver Surfer and gotten more from her, because she's just really a presence rather than a character, which seems like a real miss. But yeah, overall, I was quite surprised by this movie. I didn't have a bad time with it at all. I could be in the minority on this one, but I guess I'll let Disparu go next, and we can just work our way around.
I had a lot of the same issues with this one that I had with Superman, in that it was a load of scenes together, but I needed more, and I kept seeing like positions where they could go. So you want to sacrifice your child to save the Earth. That's interesting. All these people hate you, and then it's just magically gotten rid of instantly. And then you're like, okay, there's a scene above where she says, well, the child would sacrifice himself if he was older. It's like, oh, that's an interesting idea. Immediately just forgotten about. What about, we're going to fight the boss, but there's all these people here that are in danger. That's interesting. Oh, no, we got rid of them as well. And yeah. I would have preferred certain things expanded upon to make it better. I didn't like... I was actually surprised at Pedro in this, because I don't normally think he's a bad actor, but in this I thought he was very monotone in his delivery and was kind of outshone by everyone else. It seemed weird in this that he was... I thought he was quite monotone and just kind of blank. It's not like I think he kind of degraded from it, but I don't know whether he was going for sort of a logical intellect.
I assumed it was more just like he was going for a very as you say, logical, analytical approach to it, because that's his character. He's meant to be a scientist. He's very logical about all these things. Because I know, like, we've seen him in other things. He can play like big, exuberant characters, like in Game of Thrones or like in The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. And so he can do it. I just feel like it was a conscious decision not to in this case. But I didn't mind it. Like, I wasn't looking at him thinking, especially like in Gladiator 2, I wasn't looking at him thinking, ooh, he's a bit miscast in this one. I felt like this suited him.
Yeah, it's like, even with him, I would have preferred, because there was a bit where they were talking about, I take all of the dark things from the world into my mind to work out how I can hurt them first. I thought, oh, that's an oh, no, we're not going to do anything with that. So it was kind of, I was a bit disappointed that what I would have liked in the movie wasn't expanded upon. Mm-hmm. I didn't like the end at all.
Okay.
Both like the plan, and I was okay with Sue, but other stuff in it, I don't know how far we get into spoilers, so I'll leave it there. But I did like the opening.
We'll get into spoilers a wee bit later on, just so we give people some warning about it, I guess.
Yeah, the opening I thought was way better than Superman. Like, rather than just some text on a screen, I thought this was a much better introduction to the characters. So I did like parts and dislike parts overall.
Okay. MauLer, and I suggest that you keep this relatively short, just you're
so cruel.
Hey, you can talk as long as you want later on as we get into the weeds a little bit more.
I'll reveal literally nothing by telling you I think it wins the July blockbuster fight, and that it's the best Marvel movie in a decent while.
I think
that still puts it in. It could still be awful territory. It doesn't matter winning all of that. That's still broadly where I would slot it. I don't think this film's very good, but it's exactly what I was expecting from talking to a couple of people who had seen it, from the way they were describing it. I assume you guys have heard that a lot of people have talked about, like, I think it was Chris Gore who said, like, I didn't hate it. It's like, yeah, that seems to be where we're at, and that's I would echo that sentiment. I watched this film and I was like, well, there it went. There was some stuff in there that was all right. Lots of unrealized potential. Broadly speaking, a story that I was kind of surprised that managed to have so many scenes that were just there. That one went. Not much to gain from it, but not much lost either in terms of, adding or taking away from the story. I didn't feel much, but then, as mentioned as well, it got to the third act and it went pretty super retarded as far as I'm concerned. Unfortunately, I don't really know what I would say. I'm trying to think of like what works about it. It's like there's a few pieces where people got to act here and there, a couple highlights, I guess. There's some almost character, but the best thing I can say about the movie is it didn't catastrophically destroy any. I don't think there was any like character assassination. There's just people being stupid.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't feel.
What's your review, MauLer? Yeah.
It's like it's a better kind of bad. It's like, okay,
yeah.
you did all right in parts. Look at you go. Oh, and I completely agree with Disparu. The way they handled fast forwarding us through history was way better in this than in Superman.
Yeah, it's a nice brisk and breezy intro, I think, that gets the job done. And I wonder if we're going to see more of this in superhero movies now, where it's like the writers just understand, like, everyone's seen the origin story for Batman and Superman and Spider-Man like a million fucking times. What's the point in showing it again? Let's just give us a quick summary, or just drop us straight into the action, because what's the point in wasting time on that? I think you'll probably see more of that sort of thing. But this film's a good example of how to do it well. It gives you just enough if you somehow don't know anything about them, but it also doesn't waste a lot of time on it.
I mean, I would prefer that they just opened into a fight and showed you their abilities in action. And they kind of do it. I would prefer the
movie be about what happens in that fast forwarding sequence. I'd rather that sounds interesting. Yeah.
Moves
on. Despot, what about you?
I think the movie was terrible with some redeeming aspects.
Don't hold back, sir.
It's the biggest problem is the plot. The plot is so broken, but there's other major problems as well. Characterization is very weak. So actually the best character by far is Reed Richards, and Pedro Pascal does a great job because he's supposed to be the still center around which the sort of madness of everything happens. The problem is all the other characters have been watered down and tempered too much. So, you know, Ben, the rock guy, he's just a sort of normal dude. He's not particularly interesting. The wife isn't particularly feminine. You know, she's sort of just nice and intelligent. Her personality's a little bit too similar to Reed's. And then Johnny Storm, he's been again quite he's not been emasculated or anything like that, but it's more like he's been just tempered down, and he's not a particularly interesting or exciting or fun character. So you've got these four fairly bland characters that I don't think generate much drama or comedy or dynamism on screen together. It's not bad though. They're likable characters. I think the introduction is very good. It's definitely the best scene in the movie, like the sequence of scenes at the start. Obviously, we're not doing spoilers, but I liked that. That was really good. And then that was really the only part of the movie that I particularly liked. I thought the villains were absolutely dreadful. Like Galactus is a complete moron in this. He's pathetic. And Silver Surfer, she makes no sense. Like her character, the moral dissonance and the decision making just makes no sense. Reed Richards is supposed to be the smartest man in the world, and he makes some of the dumbest fucking decisions imaginable, and people just go along with it. The geopolitics and the world building is an absolute disaster. The action is shit. There's only like 2 action scenes in the movie after the opening, and they both suck, especially the ending. I think this is a terrible movie that looks good and kind of gives the impression of being good, but once you dig down even a little bit, like I was writing a script for this yesterday. My plot hole section is going to be 25 minutes long. I cannot figure out. It's definitely better than Captain Cape shit, but this is such a bad movie.
Alrighty. And Little Platoon, how do you feel?
I hate everything for clicks. So, you know, I obviously hate this movie. No, this movie is what I was expecting Superman to be, and what people keep trying to tell me Superman was, which is to say, kind of janky, with some slightly balked humor, but generally an okay time if you don't look at it too closely, and it does some kind of interesting things going forward, and it makes, you know, it's fun to see these new sets of heroes on the screen. That's what I keep being told that Superman was. This movie is probably at least 100% better than the Superman film was. So that's a start. But as has already been mentioned, I think in particular the third act, it just collapses in on itself, which is a real shame, because I'm probably slightly kinder on the movie than Despot is, and I do think like some of the stuff that like in the first 2 acts worked okay. I kind of liked the main cast. I think Johnny Storm is very irritating, and the Thing doesn't have very much to do, but you know, they're there and they aren't massively objectionable, and the movie did a fairly good job of just making them essentially distinct. I don't feel like I've come out of the movie knowing nothing about any of them, which is a start. It's kind of got a bit of a mile wide, inch deep problem, though, in the sense that because we've wasted now 3 phases basically on just absolute dreck with characters who either don't deserve to exist or functionally don't exist anyway. And because we've spent, you know, longer with Captain America 4 and longer with Thunderbolts than we get on this, which actually could be doing something interesting, setting up, you know, a whole new part of the world, it has to go so quickly over absolutely everything that you're kind of in a bit of a whiplash mode by the end. It's like, well, I would have liked to see more of what the introduction was setting up. I would have liked to see more of what these characters can do and how they are with each other. I would like to know much more about the world, because the basic ingredients are there for it. That's all good. But we don't have time, because we have to get rid of Galactus as quickly as we possibly can, because the next movie is Avengers Doomsday, when basically everything I like about these people will probably be destroyed. So hooray. But overall, like, I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. And yeah, I would agree it is the best of the big 3 summer releases.
Fair enough. I'm gonna actually come out. I can't look at this Pedro Pascal image anymore, so I'm gonna bring myself up there. There we go. I'm back. If you guys want to show yourselves on screen as well, feel free to do so. It's up to you.
So,
oh, there we go. That's better, Platoon. Thank you. That was a big...
I've got a bit of a problem because I thought, well, no, this bit's going to get old, so I'll only keep this on screen for like 5 seconds. The problem is, though, that the thing I normally use is now broken, so I'm now stuck with Pedro until I can get it fixed.
Maybe you'll never
My
get it fixed,
God.
Platoon, and that's it for the rest of your life. No, I wanted to talk a little bit about things I appreciated about this movie, because I may be in the minority on this one, but I appreciated the fact that the fucking Marvel humor is mostly absent from this. It's really toned down. There's 1 or 2 bits that they try and work it in, and it's really out of place because one is like right after they've essentially been told your planet's doomed and you're all going to fucking die. And Johnny Storm is just making all these jokes about how hot the Silver Surfer is, which is no. But anyway, that being said, yeah, for the most part, the movie's actually got a more serious tone, and so it's less jarring and irritating than you get with the try-hard Marvel movies. So I really appreciated that. I do agree with what you said about the characters are a little bit watered down in the sense that they're, you know, the core elements of their personalities are a bit toned down, especially Johnny. I guess like in the comics, he's this like playboy, risk taker, like adrenaline junkie, and here he's much more. He's still got elements of that, but he's much more reserved. But on the plus side, he's actually not portrayed as the moron that the trailers would make him out to be, and he actually gets to do some pretty important stuff. It kind of feels like Reed Richards should have done it, really, but he ends up doing it, and it's like, well, okay, fine. What else? Yeah, I appreciated the fact that the team all get things to do. Even in the finale, I think we were told through leaks and stuff that it was all just going to be Sue Storm and the Silver Surfer teaming up to take on Galactus, and it's kind of not like that. There's more going on there. They all get their moment to do something, and it feels like much more of a team effort. And I like the sense of, you know, the movie does give you a good sense of the stakes involved. You know, you got this sense of impending doom that Galactus is this unstoppable force that's coming for them all. And I think the movie carries that forward fairly well. So I did like it. And it felt like such a different beast from pretty much every other Marvel movie we've seen. Probably since, I don't know, Endgame, maybe? I don't know. I don't know how to just...
I think No Way Home is better than this, but
yeah, I think that's fair.
Because it's a better kind of bad. That's just the best way I can say it, I guess.
And it's got a pretty good, at least on paper, the emotional hook, because the baby is prominently involved and becomes like the subject of the bargain, and so like, and because the stakes are basically entailed in, you know, will you sacrifice your family or not? Effectively, is this kind of like the theme of the story. That automatically, to my mind, gives it many extra points than a lot of recent superhero things do, because this isn't, although there is a guy coming to destroy the world, which is a bit silly, it's not really about that in as much as it is like, what are you prepared to give up to stop it? And making it that human, making it like a fairly cogent, like family kind of theme automatically just makes me more interested. I understand this. I can feel a little bit for it. The characters are being put in a position where they actually have to maybe sacrifice something which really does mean something. Unlike, I mean, what is the equivalent in any recent Marvel film? I can't really think of one. It's just like generic flashing lights and people flying around shooting lasers and sometimes face planting missiles for no very good reason. And it's like, that's not as interesting to me.
I was genuinely shocked that they had like a man and a woman in a relationship, married with a child, as essentially the core of the story. It was borderline shocking from Marvel at this point that they would actually show something like that.
And they actually use it for some of the humor as well, which I think makes the humor more tolerable in this film. Is that it's not just sort of quipping, that like the quips can't just go anywhere. The baby is kind of the source of some of the humor. Like my sister's just had a kid, so a lot of the jokes are kind of slightly more real. But like when they say you're supposed to sleep when the baby is sleeping, so you assume that the baby sleeps. That's kind of funny. I like that. Like trying to fiddle around with the pram later. That's kind of okay. Yeah. It's like so many things just fall into place so much better if you have something basically universally understandable as opposed to just like amorphous quip.
I also really appreciated the fact that it's not chained to this ridiculous fucking like convoluted story that we have like in our universe, you know, on Earth, whatever number it is. You know, with all the shit that's happened over the past like 20 years, Here, it's set in a different reality, and so like it's completely separate from the rest of the MCU. And I was just like, thank fucking God, it's just a self-contained story that I can just get into right off the bat. And yeah, they went all in on the comic book side of things. Like it's definitely got that crazy retro futuristic 1960s look to it. But it's fine. It makes sense in context because it's a different reality. And so, okay, I can buy into that. And it's just very visually interesting to look at as well. Like all these things tie into like just a different experience than what you usually get from Marvel movies, which is just complete generic sludge, the sort of thing we've seen a million times before. It felt at least they were doing something a little bit different here.
I get the impetus to almost praise it for something like that, but at the same time, a lot of these movies that Marvel make don't give a fuck about their history in their own universe. Like
but they kind of want you to, if you know what I mean. Like they might contradict themselves, every which way, but like there's still this implication that you should be up to date on all the things that have happened in that universe, and it's exhausting. Whereas here, there's nothing like that. You could just go into this blind and just watch it.
That was the stupid thing about Kevin Feige's recent interview, where it's like, well, our future movies and TV series will be self-contained, so you don't need to do research. It's like, you never have. I watched Thunderbolts, didn't know who half the characters were. But if you watch the movie, you're used to picking up people that you've never seen before and just working out who they are from their actions, and it works fine.
It's supposed to work that way anyway.
Yeah, I think that was a dangerous lie that Marvel kind of instituted themselves to try and get you to watch all their old stuff, and it backfired on them. But they never really made the content, so you had to watch Captain Marvel to watch the Marvels. That never really worked, even within their own series.
Yeah, you shouldn't be watching the Marvels anyway.
Yeah, no one should. Ironically enough, no one did. So
nobody did.
But I think one of the advantages of that is that this focused on the Fantastic Four. So they did cut a couple of fight scenes out. I would have liked to see the fight scenes, but at the same time, I'm glad that it didn't have 3 different villains that we all had to have time for and tell them all the backstory and get into. Yeah. So definitely keeping it focused on the heroes themselves and one villain helped the movie for sure.
I think as well, like you definitely get that sense of exhaustion with most Marvel movies where it's like, oh, here we go, another CGI crap fest of a fight, where it's just, constant shit getting thrown at you. Whereas with this one, yeah, you've got the opposite effect where it's like really quite few and far between where there's big confrontations. I like the first meeting with Galactus aboard his ship. And yeah, like it actually takes its time between these big fights. So they mean a bit more. Or at least they hit you a bit harder.
Almost retro Star Trek kind of approach in the sense that, because like a lot of modern Marvel films, as you said, they will just fly straight in to fight him, and then they might lose, and then that's the second act low point. Whereas like because this leans in a couple of ways to its fairly sort of retro sci-fi approach, so they do go there to negotiate, they go there to talk, which is something that you don't really see that often anymore. There's even sort of a little bit of lip service paid to kind of scientific concepts when they're flying around doing places, that they mention time dilation and try to use it as a strategy at one point in the battle, which they never really have the time to do it properly, but I kind of appreciated that they at least lent somewhat toward the concept, because you can do so many interesting things with science fiction concepts like this, and superhero movies, when they do lean into them, tend to be slightly more believable and interesting. But the problem is, as has already been mentioned, that like we really don't have time to put any depth onto any of these concepts, because we do have to move on to the next thing, get out pretty quickly. It's only like an hour and 45 minutes, this film.
I think they had time for depth. They just focused on the wrong things. Like, you could easily cut out, oh, look, we're eating food, and this food doesn't have enough of this in it, and put an actual concept in instead. I think an hour 45 is easy enough to tell like a deep story if you do it correctly. But what I liked about the first fight was that it showed them, like, rather than just going family all the time and pretending that's deep, the first fight showed them working together like they'd been working together for years. So one person was in trouble, the other one come to save them, then the other person did something else, and they used all their abilities together. There wasn't very much of that in the second one as such, because they were a bit more spread out. And the blinding bit, that kind of worked, but after that, it was all separate. They were all kind of deciding themselves what they should do. And it did fall into the trap of, well, I didn't know she was that powerful. She's now more powerful than the gods. That's it. Seemed to come out of nowhere. But now she's soloing the boss. You're sending the man off to get the child. And I know Little Platoon said this is about sacrifice. Actually, the story of this is we're not going to sacrifice anything. Like, we're going to make everyone else have all the risk. We're going to keep ourselves safe, and we're not going to give our baby up at any point. I would have much preferred it if they'd made him choose. So he was like, I've got to save the baby, or I've got to save her, and that's it. And it kind of was that when he said, you can't do this, but I don't think it was very obvious that way. I think it would have been better if Galactus had given him the decision.
I will say, because we're still kind of avoiding some spoilers, but you know,
didn't get the memo.
well, are we,
No, sorry,
can we open it up now and tell people to run away, or am I gonna have to be? Because it's hard to explain what I want to say without being a little bit spoilery.
I mean, I think we've all kind of given our initial thoughts on it already. So, like, if people really don't want to know what's going to happen, then yeah, run away. But yeah, opening
I'll
up
still
to
try
you,
to be
MauLer.
vague, but on the note of like, you know, whether or not there was sacrifice, I do think that a even shittier film would have missed the opportunity for the Human Torch to have made his decision at the end. They let that happen, and then, you know, something else happens. I was like, oh, good job, because at least we got to see him actually decide, like, I'll do this, you know, to save the world. It's gonna get him killed probably, but you know, he does it anyway, sort of thing. I was like,
I would have, yeah, because I think there's a good story to be told there in terms of character arc. If he had been set up as maybe a more self-centered person who just does his own thing because it's what makes him happy or whatever, or he's never been quite, you know, he's like a loose cannon who just does his own thing, and he's not good at cooperating with everyone else. And then this is his moment of you know, self-sacrifice, of finally putting other people ahead of him. But we didn't really get that from him throughout the, you know, the movie. He's just, I think maybe this is the problem with the whole group. As much as I like them, there's not much drama between them because they're all just very agreeable with each other and very nice throughout the whole movie.
and he's the one you're probably going to pick if you're going to make something caustic, because he's much like the 2005 version. He causes the most trouble in the group, sort of thing. It reminded me a bit of Avengers, being that we've already seen Iron Man basically give up his life to save the day against Ironmonger. Yeah. So seeing him do it again, it's like, we know it, but they've built it in the film that it is meaningful because he does it in front of a whole team that aren't so sure that he's anything but a selfish asshole, sort of thing. So there's like storytelling juice there. In this, much less so, but there's like, I was about to say this setup, or rather just discussion of this topic, where he says he would rather give himself up than let Franklin get taken, sort of thing. And then he technically proves that at the end. So it's like, yeah, there's something. I was just, like I said, we're at such a dire position for Marvel films that I was watching it and I was like, oh wow, they didn't forget to take the chance to show a character would sacrifice themselves if they thought that was the opportunity in and of itself. I was just like, look at them go. That's almost a story.
This is the thing. Maybe I've been so conditioned to just the absolute shittiness that Marvel produces now, that when they actually just do something like, and I never said that there's anything revolutionary in this movie. It's a very straight up story with simple themes of like family, self-sacrifice, you know, all that like classic stuff, pretty simple stuff, but done reasonably well. And it just made me feel like, oh wow, I'm watching a regular old movie with heroes that get to be heroic a little bit, and you know, I don't feel like it's trying to shove identity politics down my throat. I don't feel like it's trying to preach at me for anything, and it's not making me want to kill all the characters because they're so fucking annoying. It's like, yeah, you've just got a group of fairly likable people in a tough spot taking on a big, much bigger, stronger enemy and doing their best to try and save the day.
Dude, there's such a strong theme right now of reviewing this movie. If it didn't make me want to kill myself, seems to be the fucking like, damn.
I think my issue with it is the way you described this movie is also basically the plot of Formula One, and Formula One was just way more enjoyable, and I found myself rooting for the characters almost immediately. I can't say I really rooted for these characters at any point. If anything, I liked Human Torch the most, and he felt a bit like they were kicking a dog in this point because he went from a womanizer to the guy that gets rebuffed all the time. But he seemed to be, he was like the most entertaining person for me. And I think he had the only moments where I would like hoped he would. So when he chased her outside, or when he chased her through with the message, that's where I was kind of rooting for the main people. Whereas all the other stuff, it's like, this seems a bit stupid, or this isn't this, or I know that Reed Richards is going to pull out this new invention out of his arse that we've never heard about before, just because he can, kind of thing. So
I think with him, with Johnny, I did like him. I think I would have liked to see them develop his borderline relationship, rivalry / infatuation with the Silver Surfer more. I kind of wanted to see them do a bit more with that because it's very fragmented, and you just get little hints of it. Again, with the Thing, it's like he's just kind of nice, and he's just in the background, and there's little hints that he's kind of unhappy about what he looks like now. Obviously, you could have again done a bit more with that, but it's just kind of glossed over in favor of more time with Reed and Sue.
Yeah, they didn't spend much time or effort with because the Thing seems to be much more accepted in this version than other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess makes some sense because he's been saving the world with the Fantastic Four sometimes. So this isn't the initial days of the Fantastic Four where you can play up people being like, "Oh my god, it's a monster." But I do think that's some good content that can get missed out on if you skip it. And then one of the things I was wondering, is Silver Surfer a woman because they wanted the Human Torch to have like the back and forth?
And
will
it to be
say-
emotional, I think, to be affected by the emotional torment of it. I think it wouldn't work as well. With
I
a
mean,
guy.
she is literally responsible for probably trillions of deaths across the galaxy because she chooses the planets for Galactus to consume. And she did
Yeah.
it to save her own planet, which, I can understand that, but there is no getting away from the fact that you are possibly the biggest mass murderer in the history of the universe.
That was some of the weakest exposition I've seen in a while too, right? Just being like, by the way, this is your backstory, and reads it all very shittily, I would say. It's like, right,
yeah,
gotcha,
this is what I mean.
okay.
I think they've cut a shitload out of this movie. I think it's part of the reshoots, it's part of the re-editing and stuff. I think there was probably a lot more scenes with her that would have given us more, and I wanted that. I actually was interested in this character because I feel like Hollywood never fucking knows what to do with the Silver Surfer. It's weird. Like, they couldn't do it in the 2000s movies. They fucked it up again with this one. It's like, why is this character so difficult to crack?
They also fall foul of like what happens in Saw movies, where they get given a timer, they don't do anything for the first minute and 30 seconds, and then inflict a load of pain on themselves and die. And she sacrifices a load of worlds, only to at the end piss off Galactus. He's definitely going to her homeland next. Like, that planet is gone. So she's kind of like, you could have just let it go in the first place.
I'm not sure why he was like, "Oh, these are the cries of people in these worlds that have died." Didn't you know? It's like, how could she not? She visits them personally to tell them they're gonna die.
Yeah.
It felt weird to me that would like make her go, "Oh, geez, I can't handle that. I've done such wrong." I was like, you knew this for a long time, I think, but okay, sure.
I thought his speech was good though. Like,
Sure.
he gave it his best.
I mean, it lays into her, that's for sure. Oh, sorry, was someone going to talk there? I think
Whose speech?
Johnny's.
Yeah.
When he's like basically
When he's actually
browbeating
talking
the
to her
Silver
in,
Surfer into like, you're these are all the planets that
in
you've
Times
destroyed.
Square.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a nice scene. The problem was that I don't think it really worked in context because the Silver Surfer, the scene by itself is a good scene, but once you think about it for more than a minute, it's like, okay, well, this creates problems with the Silver Surfer's character because if she does have a conscience, any sort of conscience, it wouldn't require Johnny Storm to play some audio of people dying for that conscience to be activated. She would have a long time ago realized what she was doing was wrong and tried to sabotage Galactus. By the way, are we on spoilers here?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, so she would have done that already, but it takes essentially a stern talking to from Johnny Storm to change her mind. I don't buy that at all. I mean, if this is a woman who has committed genocide on a cosmic scale, she's made up her mind, and one conversation and a few audio clips is going to get her to betray Galactus all of a sudden. I find that very, very unconvincing.
I feel like they needed maybe something else. Like, they could have absolutely had that scene, but maybe like him just fighting her to like the absolute last ounce of effort, to try and defend his world or something. Like kind of Captain America style. It's like, I know I've got no chance of beating you, but I'm still going to give it a try anyway because like this is everything to me, and I'm willing to sacrifice everything. And that maybe is enough to like at least show her, wow, there's these humans have got some pretty special stuff about them, Maybe they're
leaning
worth
more like
fighting for.
firmly into the family stuff as well. Given like they said that the reason she made the deal with Galactus is so she can leave her planet and save her family, and then now like you could maybe it would be tricky. You could write your way just about to a kind of plausible deniability, or at least a remove from the real consequences of what she's doing. Like she understands it abstractly, but doesn't stick around to actually meet the people who are going to die properly, beyond giving them that first speech. Then she comes upon people who are trying to save their own kid and their own family, and that's the thing that really gets her in a way that it didn't with all prior instances. I mean, you could lean on that, I think, to do some of the explanatory work, but it's always difficult when you have these stakes which are so vast, and when like mass murder on that scale is involved, it is very difficult to make people suddenly have a conscience. The smaller it is, the easier that is.
I'm not
Would it
sure it's
be,
down
like-
to conscience. Like this is one of the interesting ideas I think that they have. It's like she's choosing her planet over a planet she doesn't know. That seems like a perfectly reasonable choice. She can't defeat Galactus on her own. Doesn't really have much choice. She didn't have Reed Richards and everyone to defeat Galactus. He's a space god. So if she said no, they all die. And Reed Richards and everyone kind of made the same point. They were more than willing to risk the entire planet to save their son. So she's willing to risk your planet or kill your planet to save hers.
Well, she's willing to risk many planets, but the problem
Yeah.
I have is that at no point in her history with the movie doesn't say how many planets they've destroyed together. It's just a lot, and at no point did she. I mean, you could say, well, if she tries to betray him and it goes wrong, he's going to go back and destroy her planet. But I mean, she's literally his only minion, right?
From
Well,
what
he
we
can
saw.
make them at will, though.
True, but she could presumably destroy his ship and leave him stranded in space within, a minute.
That was
big
just
ship.
stated. No one knows that's true in the film. They just say that that's true. It's like
They say what's true.
that getting rid of his ship, putting him in a particular place would strand him. There's nothing he could do. It's like we don't know that. We don't know
It's
what the
also-
fuck this
Well,
guy
I
can
kind of
do.
wondered as well, like, why throw him to the far side of the universe or whatever? Why not like teleport him into the core of a black hole or something? Like, just-
Why not teleport pieces out of him, like important pieces? You know what I mean?
Important pieces.
Why not? Why did nobody when they're like, oh, we've got an FTL drive? It's like, oh, why don't you weaponize it? Why don't you
Holdo
weaponize
maneuver
any of the
him.
Oh God,
technology?
no!
You know where that leads, MauLer.
There's not enough depth. There's not enough explanation for what Galactus's power set is.
No,
It leaves
nothing.
so many questions as to what
Yeah.
is and is not feasible against this guy. So, for example, why do no countries raise the question of, look, how about we just fire 100 nukes at his spaceship before he gets here?
Well, they decommissioned at the start. It said they decommissioned all the militaries, which was farcical in itself for 4 people. But that was the thing. Every single interesting bit of the movie, they magicked it away.
The thing,
Even
yeah,
with
because
the
like we saw,
decommissioning, if you can build this sort of global, international portal to transport the Earth out of the solar system, you can certainly build some nukes, 100 nukes to fire at him as like a plan B. Nobody even suggests this and says, look, guys, maybe it won't work. Maybe his ship's too powerful. The Silver Surfer will stop the nukes, but we can at least try. The idea that the entire world would just agree universally to this ridiculous plan of moving the Earth out of the solar system, which is insanely stupid, by the way. That plan's not going to work for lots of reasons.
Killable.
well,
What?
yeah,
It's gonna
because
kill
for
everybody.
the people watching this, so the plan is right. They've decided they're not handing their son over to Galactus, so he's on his way to Earth to consume planet Earth, and so they don't know how to fight him. And so Reed's plan is we're going to use this teleport device, which is used to teleport an egg across the room. That's as much as it's been able to do. His idea is, well, what if we did this on a planetary scale so we can teleport the Earth to another solar system, and just assume that everyone's not going to get like fucking Philadelphia experimented, where they like appear on the other side, like inside out and stuff. And that's how we're going to hide from him. And that's what they do. They set up a network of teleport gateways across the entire planet that are all going to be linked up, and then launch them just at the right moment. But wouldn't you know it, the Silver Surfer shows up when there's like 5 seconds to go and
I feel
destroys
like
a
she
bunch
saved
of them.
them. To be honest with you,
She
They
did
were-
save them.
She
Because
saved them.
first, no one would agree to Reed's plan, because all it
No.
would take is for anyone, like even an amateur astronomer could point this out. They could say, look, Reed, the Earth can't just exist on its own, even if it is around the Goldilocks area of a sun.
Event
First of all,
Horizon it.
if you let's assume it goes right, this teleporting the Earth, because if it goes wrong, you could teleport the Earth into the abyss of space and that's it. It's over. Or you could teleport it into the core of a sun or something. I mean, that's not likely, but he says, well, it's gonna be within 2% of the habitable Goldilocks zone. If the Earth in this solar system was 2% closer to the sun, all of the oceans would boil away. If it was 2% further away, it would freeze into a ball of ice.
Oh, sure, but then arc reactors don't exist. So, like, there's a degree to which you accept that there will be physical incongruities with the science in a Marvel.
I think that's
superhero
different,
film.
though.
It's like, well, no, but what I'm saying is, like, so the opening section is, and I'm not actually defending this plan. I'm just sort of semi-defending the plan. The opening section is designed in large part to tell you why this thing is feasible to begin with, right? Like, this is the world state. Either you're going to accept that this is the world state because it is retro-futuristic, Star Trek-like utopian society, or you're not. And of course, if you're not, then nothing will make any sense about the film. If you go along with that plan, then yeah, okay, I guess teleporting the Earth to a new place and everyone working together to do it, that's kind of an old 60s B-movie kind of plan, which in the world that they're trying to portray for you is kind of, it doesn't bump me as much as it would in a movie that tried to take itself more seriously, if that makes sense. The problem I found with it was I don't understand why they thought moving the Earth, A, why that happened so quickly and nothing else was tried beforehand. B, how they could possibly hope to have moved it to a place that Galactus would never find, given he had no trouble finding any other planet that he wanted to munch on. So, and he still got the Silver Surface. It's like, well, that's only going to be a short-term solution at best. And I don't really think that's very sensible, especially considering the plan they eventually go with is smaller scale, more easy to manage, and probably stands a greater chance of success, even though it is still quite retarded.
If they had just said, we're going to teleport Earth, and as Chad had pointed out, the moon, we need that for Earth very much. You're going to have to teleport that too.
The moon's a
teleport us
luxury
to Earth.
item, MauLer. We can do that.
Luxury.
Well, we wouldn't have to worry about the tide going in and out anymore. So
there you go.
that's a
Makes things
bonus.
easier. Great. But yeah, if all Reed had said was, I have found the perfect place, it like replicates everything that we've got here, we'll be absolutely fine. I actually think that would be better. What Despot was talking about, the whole within 2% thing, when I heard it say, I was like, why did you say that? Why did you write him to say that? That makes it way stupider.
I mean, you can still say, look, if they land too close to the sun, they can quickly teleport back. But, I mean, that's a big if. If they land too close to the sun in the other system, they're all going to die in seconds.
Oh,
so they won't have time to move
I
back.
took that line an entire... So you think the 2% is within degree of accuracy? I just thought it meant the Goldilocks zone is 2% of the space. And we will
No.
I
think because we don't know how big the sort of golden zone is, right? And so he's saying like we can get right into the middle of it, plus or minus 2%. So I think what he was implying is like you're still going to be within that zone. It's just it might be slightly hotter or colder, but we won't all die instantly, as when we go there. So I thought, okay, fine. Again, as Platoon was saying, if that's just what that's the conceit that we have to accept about the technology available in this movie, well, fine, I guess. It sounds bizarre, but
in that sense, it's fine. But you still, as MauLer pointed out, you still don't have the moon, and there's other problems too. It's not a long-term solution because you don't have Jupiter, and you need Jupiter to suck up all the asteroids from the asteroid belt so that the Earth doesn't get destroyed by an asteroid strike. That's one of the reasons why an asteroid strike is so unlikely, because Jupiter gets all the big rocks and they get caught in Jupiter's gravity.
Then there's a power scaling problem that comes into this, right? Which is that, and it's a smaller somehow it's actually not as broken as Lex Luthor and Superman is, even though they're teleporting a whole fucking planet. But like you can still make the argument that if you've got the technology whipped up in an afternoon to teleport the planet, you can probably solve asteroid strikes. I think that's within the realm of possibility.
If you really want to get the nitty-gritty of physics right, you'd also have to account for the Earth's orbit around the star, because you would have to give it velocity once it arrives at its new location, because if it's not moving, guess what? It's just going to fall directly into the sun. It's got to be in orbit.
Someone said, oh my god, do you really need them to talk about this? It's like, it would be easy to have that moment in the scene. You just have any character be like, wait, what about the moon? And then Reed can just be like, do you really think I haven't calculated for that? Like, do you really think I haven't got a replacement?
Sure. I guess the point, like, if I was to account for all the things that like were potential, planet killers in this, like the lack of a moon and not having the tides go in and out, it's not going to be high on my list of priorities. I think they'd be okay in that regard.
No, but like any self-respecting science, even fantasy movie can just have, you can do it in 2 lines. Just make it
I guess so.
cleaner.
The other, like, because I guess this is, if we're talking about plot holes and stuff, like, why the fuck did Reed announce to the whole world, like, yeah, we could solve this in an instant if we gave Galactus our child? Like, that's all he really wants. Like, he could have easily just lied and said, yeah, we went there to try and negotiate. There's no negotiating to be done here. He wants to destroy us all.
That's another
Yeah,
thing
probably-
we could have solved. Go ahead, MauLer.
I was going to say, probably wouldn't have announced it there and then immediately. However, they do, I assume, have to relinquish the footage on their suits to the
that's what I
governments
was
of the
gonna
world.
say.
Yeah.
But I almost feel like that was a scene that was cut out. Like they could have done that in seconds. Just have the footage play on the TV, and then like Reed gets angry and turns the TV off, something like that, so that we know that they have released the footage to the world, so they couldn't lie about it. And also, why doesn't the world demand the footage immediately? It's
I don't
just
know.
it's lots and lots and lots of little small things that all add up, and some big things as well. There's, I mean, Galactus, for example. First of all, why does Galactus announce his arrival at Earth? I mean, according to the Silver Surfer's speech, she wants everyone to, cherish these last days because you're all going to die. So it's like, so he's doing this out of a moral sense of duty to let people know that the end has come and they should enjoy their last days. But that's not moral. That's insanely sadistic. It's like torturing someone.
Morals.
Like, when you say he consumes planets, right? Does he just need the planetary material to survive?
Well, this is one of the many questions I have about Galactus, because I don't think because I've only seen it the once so far, so like maybe some of this is in it and I've just missed it. I just don't feel like I know anything about really how he functions the way he does or why he functions the way he does. I assume he needs planets with life on them, because if not, there's hundreds of billions of planets he could bunch on before he gets to Earth, and actually he wouldn't ever really need to come here. So I guess there's a reason that he needs to come to Earth as opposed to Mars or somewhere else, but I don't know.
So
the way I took it was a bit like pruning the universe. So as you would prune a tree to make it grow straight and not use up all of its energy in useless things and everything, because it said that he was required for the universe. It was a necessary element of it. So it was just like his job was to keep the universe almost like healthy.
I must have missed that line from, because all I got from him was that he's got this like insatiable hunger and he must feed on planets. And I just
Silver
thought, well,
Surfer
okay, if that's
mentions
you.
it. In her first speech, she says he is like a required power in the universe or something.
Right. Because I
gotta-
never like this is what I mean. Like, it would have been nice to get more from him. I want to know more about him. I want to know what his real drive is. I want to know his origin. He talks once about like how he was once small, like the humans. And now look at him, he's like this gigantic celestial being. Okay, fine. Like, what happened to you? How did you end up like this? What
And that is the
created
thing
you?
with the baby, right? Because like he needs the baby to replace him on this cursed throne, I think he calls it. And I think there's some
Right.
interesting stuff that like there's a story you could tell there. This movie doesn't try to do that, but you could. Given that he spoilers again doesn't die at the end, so I guess they're maybe saving some stuff up for in more individual Fantastic Four movies. I don't like that is an excuse so often. It's just like wait for the next film for it to be good, because most great original movies can actually tell a complete story with all their characters and save some stuff for later. So he's just like he's just there, and I want to understand him more than I do, because the fact I don't understand him makes me think he's maybe just a really, really large idiot, and that's not ideal.
Why does he show up personally at the end as well to get the baby? Why doesn't he just send the Silver Surfer?
Yeah,
That's the Silver Surfer just disappears after that conversation with Johnny Storm. She goes AWOL, and presumably that's what she does. She just abandons Galactus, and then Galactus has to go down by himself, which begs the question: if Galactus is aware of the possibility of there being a super being who could quench his thirst, why does he not have an army at his disposal, or at least a squad of goons? Why have just one minion who could betray you at any moment? It's a massive oversight that just nerfs his character and makes him appear an idiot.
Well, he's also got the like very practical problem of like just physically having to pick up a baby, which from his perspective is like the size of an ant, and like smashing through buildings and stuff to get to it. Like, the baby's not invincible, at least from his perspective,
Dude,
now. So he like has to be super careful. This is why you need a humanoid, figure, roughly 6 feet tall, to go and get it for you, which is what the Silver Surfer's for. Like, you should have sent her to get him.
Here's another question I have, and this is This is a very much a did I miss something question. When they're trying to evacuate New York, why does everyone go to Subterranea? Why don't they just leave the city?
guess it
Because
would
it's
take
convenient to the
longer.
plot.
I guess they're arguing it's easier to just get them underground.
Yeah.
But it's not. It would. The
Well,
logistics of that is absolutely. If millions of people going underground via tunnels, the logistics wouldn't work. It would create massive traffic bottlenecks. You couldn't supply the people because you're going to need to bring in millions of tons of food and all, and it wouldn't work.
I
It's
think
far
there was a
faster,
fight with
far
him that was
easier to
cut.
just.
Yeah, the whole
I think-
mole man thing was really weird. It kind
That
of
was
came out of
that
nowhere.
subplot went nowhere.
Yeah,
Ben's
and this is why
subplot, his romantic subplot went absolutely nowhere. Galactus doesn't have enough backstory. Silver Surfer doesn't make any sense. So much of this, it just feels like, where is the rest of the plot?
It's been cut.
So much of it is
I'd
just
be-
missing.
I 100% believe there's a cut that's like 20 minutes longer that's got so much of this shit in that we're probably talking about.
John
I think
Malkovich was in this movie.
He was.
At some point.
What was he?
When they said they were going to put them all underground, I was like, oh, I would leave the city. I'd be like, how do we know there's giant space monsters coming to this city specifically? It's like, why would underground be safe? We have no idea what the thing's
Yeah.
going to do to this.
I mean, have you seen the size of Galactus? Like he's the size of like the Empire State Building.
So here's
And so
another.
like the weight of him
he's-
alone would like collapse the tunnels underneath
he's
him.
big,
It's
but
another,
ridiculous.
Kind of smaller than I was expected. Just saying.
Yeah.
An-
Especially
another
from the ship.
problem with
Yeah.
the world build. Subterranea is this massive city that has been bored out of the earth underneath New York. If you did that, New York would collapse because hundreds of sinkholes would form. Why hasn't that happened?
Well, they got-
again,
they got
this is a
Mole Man
world where
tech.
you can teleport planets. So like, again, like there
I
are
know,
a
but
number of those
it
things
still
that just
has
like
to. It still has to. Like I know it's a separate. It's not our universe, but it still has its own. It has presumably operates under the same laws of physics. Like
I'm with you
if
on that.
there's,
No,
if
because
there's
technology-
no mass underneath New York is going to collapse unless it's supported by gravity engines or something.
Well, it could be supported by anything. That's the entire point.
That's-
If they don't
that's
show
the-
it,
yeah,
you can just
it-
assume technology replaces it.
I mean,
Um,
there's a lot of things in this movie that are questionable from a technology point of view. Like
Mhm.
the fact that they choose to launch an experimental space rocket from the middle of a city. I mean, if that had a launch failure and crashed in the city, like tens of thousands of people are going to be incinerated by that. But you
Like-
know, sure, it looks nice, so let's just do
my
it.
problems like with that come more from problems of consistency because I don't have too much trouble when like the world state is set out for me at the beginning unless it's like absolutely absurdly stupid. I'm willing to give any movie like a fairly large degree of charity and accept that these are the rules as stated. The problem is when they don't apply them consistently. Is I take more of like umbrage at that. Like so the whole mole man stuff is kind of there, I guess, in service to a part of the theme, which is obviously we're stronger together and we've overcome conflict again, utopian 60s sci-fi style. That's kind of why it's there. But then you can't. It's hard to have that in the same movie where they come back and they say, "Yeah, we didn't give up our kids to Galactus to save the planet," and then you have like riots and protests outside because. At that point, you're thinking, well, then the world isn't, as it's been said to be, this sort of utopian, peaceful place where everyone gets along. But then all she has to do to fix it is go outside and say, hey, this is the kid. He's really nice. We're really nice. We'll work together and everyone's happy again. I would rather have stuck with the completely utopian, all in it together spirit rather than introduce those kinds of inconsistencies because then the world state becomes less believable.
I think you could argue that her showing them the kid couples with the Silver Surfer's realization that what she's doing is wrong in the sense that the people outside view the kid as an abstraction in the same way the Silver Surfer views her genocide as an abstraction since she's not actually there, you know, looking at the people dying when it happens. And then when the people see the kid, they say, oh, he's not an abstraction, he's a real person. In the same way that the Silver Surfer, when she hears the audio of the people dying, she thinks, oh, yeah, those are real people. They're not just abstract planets that die. So in that sense, it couples quite well. That's one thing I would praise it for. Although both of those have problems. You know, I've mentioned before, the Silver Surfer is, I think, a morally dissonant character, and that I don't think she would care by this stage if she's made up her mind. And the people who want to betray, I don't think anyone would take Galactus at his word. Why would anyone believe Galactus? This guy is a monster who's genocided many planets. He says, give me your kid. Give me your kid and I'll leave you alone. Trust me, bro. No one's going to buy that. It's like, how stupid is this parallel Earth?
He's not a person, so he doesn't have morals. He's just like part of the universe. It's like saying bacteria is evil. No, it's just following its instinct. That's what he's doing. He's hungry. He has to, and that's the part of the universe that he fulfills. That's his role, to go round and sort of recycle.
Yeah, but the people don't know that. They don't understand that. That hasn't been explained to them. So they think of Galactus as some sort of being fairly comparable to themselves. And if he says, "Trust me, bro," they're not going to trust him, bro, and they're not going to give up the baby. At the very least, there'll be a massive divide. Only a minority of people would be in favor of giving up the baby. It's just, I feel like the world, I feel like humanity in this movie, in this parallel Earth, have like half the IQ of humanity in this world.
I would say Mr. Fantastic explains that when he tests him and says, this is a guy that goes back beyond the beginning of the universe. We cannot even understand him. We can't understand his framing. Can't understand what he's like mentally. You're kind of lowering a god into your framework that you know. And I think, the idea in the movie was that Fantastic was intelligent enough to know that he couldn't do that. He couldn't predict him. And so he's just got to take him at what it is. Like, he can't assume he's lying to him.
The problem is, though, that the movie obviously does, like, the third act. I agree with you, up until the third act, that is kind of what it's going for, and it's kind of interesting, but then it all falls apart, because then they decide, no, actually, we can just treat with him like he's another human being. Yeah, come get baby in suspicious trap-looking device in the middle of the city, and then leave us alone. And of course he does, because why wouldn't he get out of his ship, which nobody can stop, to go down into a city where people can stop him?
I think it's a Godzilla movie which does that exact thing. It has a load of fish and they lure him out in front of tanks.
It's Godzilla 98. That is
referencing that movie.
It's Godzilla 98.
I mean, if we were going on the assumption, if you're going on the assumption that the Silver Surfer has gone AWOL and he really needs to get his hands on Franklin, I guess he's got no option but to be there himself, because there's literally no one else he can call on, it would seem.
At the same time, though, given how long this guy lives for, I mean, he's an immortal being, right? Why does he need Franklin right now? Let's say the Silver Surfer has gone AWOL and he thinks, okay, this Franklin kid can quench my eternal thirst. It would be smarter to just turn his ship around, go to some other planet, create a few other Silver Surfers and bring them back and have them kidnap Franklin, a few years later. Why does it need to happen right now? It's like this being who is immortal is operating on the timescale of an impatient human being. So again, there's that inconsistency.
The movie's excuse for that's going to be that it is the overwhelming hunger that motivates him. Like, so he's not able to think rationally. I said, no, I'm not necessarily defending that line of reasoning, but I think that is the one the movie would choose to go with.
Well, that's a problem with this movie, is that so much of it has to be headcanoned, because there's too much missing.
Because the script is really hazy on what Franklin will actually, like, how functionally he'll like eliminate Galactus's hunger and how he's going to take the throne and stuff. Like, what does that even look like? I don't fucking know. He just says it and it's like, trust me. Sure, I guess. But
this is part of, by the way, what was disappointing to me about Galactus is I understand they were going for the force of nature angle, but he felt a little too almost too human for me in terms of a lot of the ways it's also very weak. Yeah, dude, having Sue be able to counter him, I think that was too much. Like,
because I get what they were trying to do. It's like that mother's instinct, like in the same way that they say like women can fucking lift cars and stuff when their baby's under threat. That's what they were trying to do here. But like, they were a little bit hazy on how the extent of her powers throughout the whole film and how it actually works.
I was sitting there thinking,
like, well, it can do whatever.
You've remembered you have this immense power set when you have to push him half the length of the city, but you didn't think to use it when he was standing on the line of the trap, when you could have done it for 5 seconds and it would have been fine. The entire bit, because I was also expecting something way more clever from their final plan, given that Reed Richards is the smartest man in the universe. I did not expect them to say, quick, scratch his eyes and swap the baby for an
I thought that was so funny.
And then where are we putting the baby? Oh, let's put the baby in the obviously branded skyscraper that we come from.
That was so stupid, man. Holy shit. I thought the robot would at least take the baby underground or something, but it just hung out. It was like, it's practically a little perch for Galactus to go pick the baby up. I was like, you guys serious? You just left the baby there? I thought maybe they were tricking him again. Like, oh, it's a hologram or it's some kind of... And he's like, no, that's just the baby. I was like, oh, well, rip.
This is why I thought it'd be better if they spent more time going, well, we could sacrifice those people. Because that's the way they acted. There was even a moment where they walk in and someone goes, I assume we're not leaving. And Pedro looks at her and goes, no, we're not leaving. And she sighs and looks down as if, no, I was about to. If he said we can leave, she was off. Everything she told those people, she was gonna go. And Galactus would have just eaten the planet and then chased them slowly.
I thought when they said we're not leaving, I thought they were referring to like the gateways have been compromised and damaged, and so they can't do their plan to teleport out of there anymore.
Well, yeah, but they had a ship that they could have left as a family, and I think she was considering leaving, and he was the one that went no. And it's moments like that that I wish they'd expanded upon. But especially if she was the one that would have told the people, no, we will fight. Whatever you do, we'll stand next to you.
Remember the part where Mr. Fantastic starts to attack those like ports on the back of Galactus, and it seems to do him damage? He's like, blah, when he breaks one of them. I was like, oh, you should keep doing that.
Yeah.
Well, the vulnerability of Galactus opens up a lot of questions. So, for example, all 4 of the Fantastic Four are able to physically hurt Galactus. They're able to injure him a little bit. Even Ben punches him in the face, and that hurts him a bit. So you think, okay, well, if this guy he's not invulnerable, his ship is not invulnerable. At some point, he was going to run into the wrong species, a species with antimatter technology, or
I think that's what the Silver Surfer's for, to find planets that are like not advanced
that's
enough
what I
to
was
be able to
thinking.
stop them.
That's what I was thinking. But
Or
then you've got
approaching the level of advancement where they would be uncontrollable, and so because there's always the theory, isn't there, that if you become so technologically advanced, you will wipe yourself out. It could be that's what they're.
Well, you'd think it'd be her
life at below level.
You'd think it'd be in her interest to, like, since she hates him and wants him to die, lead him to a planet that's like super advanced.
That's what I was thinking.
Just wipe him out.
So you've got to pick one. Either she's just so morally compromised that she doesn't even try to trap him, which she could easily do. Go to a planet where they have really hardcore military technology that is going to wipe him out in minutes, and say, yeah, Galactus, I found this like caveman planet, really easy prey. Trust me, bro, let's go there. And then they'll wipe him out for her, and she can go home. That's a very simple plan. But no, or either that, or you have the question of, okay, well, then why hasn't Galactus been destroyed? If he can just go to any planet, why hasn't he been destroyed? Because he doesn't seem to be that strong.
This is the problem.
It doesn't work with the backstory that they've presented.
Yeah, but that's because they wanted Sue Storm to be powerful enough to defeat him on her own. That's the problem. They wanted her to girl boss him at that moment.
I like that. I like the fact that this is a mother
that's
trying
what makes
to save her
for the
child.
Boss. He's supposed to be a force of nature, an ultimate god. Like, she shouldn't be able to do that to him.
If they'd set that plot beat up in a way that worked, she's a mother and she wants to save her kid, and so it gives her like super powers, and then she's able to use it to defeat Galactus. That would have been awesome. And it's still a good scene on its own. Like, just to look at, it's a good scene. The problem is it creates plot holes in Galactus'
I think if you had the full team work together to push him in instead of mainly, she has him solo for ages. It's crazy.
But yeah, I think she's kind of like holding the line more or less, and then they all have to like just do that little bit more to just push him over the edge.
He's literally like, whoa, as he's falling back. It's like, come on.
I think it's a bit much, and I get the impression there was like another cut of this movie where she essentially does it all herself.
Well, that was this one. The only time someone helps her push him back, and even that isn't what pushing him back.
Well,
is when they knock the pillars out and a building falls because he's stopping himself.
All the other people, they don't. And then Johnny's about to push him in, and then the Silver Surfer, gets in the way
Sue
to do
gets
it for
him
him.
From the building to there on her own.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She does like 90% of the whole job.
Sure.
You could have had the Human Torch doing a shit ton, and you could have had the Thing doing a shit ton, and then Miss Fantastic is just getting the baby. I'd be fine with that.
Nick Harrigan's mentioning here, the Surfer is there to get rid of any defenses for Galactus' arrival. They also warn the inhabitants to flee or accept their fate.
Did she?
Might be true.
Well, she didn't really destroy the defenses in this case.
They didn't
she just
have
kind
any.
of...
Well, they didn't have any. She knocked out the teleportation things, but I don't remember anything in the movie either establishing that is the case. So it's like, I understand that probably is the comics accurate version of the character, but we haven't actually established that in this universe.
That's still legitimate criticism of the movie, because that's a good point. If they'd included that in the movie, I could have accepted that, but they just didn't. You can't then resort to the comics and say, oh, well, it's explained in the comics. No, if it's not explained in the movie, then it's not a very good movie, or at least that's a plot problem. You can't just headcanon that problem out of the plot.
It's not a problem. That bit isn't the problem. It's because they decommissioned all their militaries, so they didn't have any defenses. They didn't even know there was an intergalactic threat.
But
Even though
here's
this guy
another.
apparently knew there was alien planets out there. He didn't think he needed defenses for them.
Here's another
So-
question about the world building, and maybe somebody can answer this. Why? So the Fantastic Four have wormhole engine ships, which means they can basically travel anywhere in the galaxy, maybe anywhere in the universe, by creating wormholes and coming at the other end. Humanity that is capable of that would become an interstellar organization, or sorry, an interstellar civilization within a couple of decades. So why hasn't that even begun to happen? Why aren't
Well,
there?
because they're just on the brink of doing it. Like, this is experimental technology in this case, so they've never launched it before. So I think this is their first attempt to do it.
With wormhole technology?
Well, I think
With
the movie was
they just
saying
got an
that-
FTL drive, but yeah.
I think they were saying that the last flight was essentially the first flight. They came back all damaged. These are the only people that could do that. And so because they had all of these side effects when they went to space, they never went back. Because there's lots of talk about how you wanted to do all these suits, but he's been putting it off because he doesn't really want to go back there. So I think that's like stunted them when it comes to space.
I do you buy that in our world? Even if a bunch of astronauts went off and came back with superpowers, for the record, I feel like a whole bunch of other people would be like, "Yeah, I'm going. Fuck yeah, I'm going."
Well, I mean,
wouldn't-
for sure, but then it's only been a few years, and like they seem to have access to the only like technology that allows them to do that. So it might be that they were just not willing to share it with anyone else. I mean, you could then argue like, well, they'd be forced to, or they'd be subpoenaed, or something like that.
Yeah.
But like that again, all that stuff would take time, and it's been a relatively short amount of time since their first ever flight. So I could buy that, like they're just getting into that stuff now, like they're just on the cusp of more missions like that.
And this seems to be a very utopian planet where governments almost don't exist, and it's just the Fantastic Four ruling everything. Like,
yeah, they just defer.
They go to the UN and can
Yeah.
make world peace happen. It's kind of wild.
Which again is dumb from our perspective, but then it's like, well, I don't know what the setup of this world is. I don't know what the various nations are like. It's kind of like left a bit ambiguous.
I think the explanation we were given is Sue's a nice person, and so that's why Mole Man liked it.
Yeah. Can I read a few super chats just before we move on? Just because they've been piling up here. Andrew Valdez said, "Hey, I just want to say that genuinely, no joke, I got back from the ER having a massive panic attack the first time in my life, and you guys helped. It was the most horrific experience that I've ever had." Well, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry that's happened to you. Hopefully our boring voices and our inane babble has like helped to calm you down a little bit. So, yeah, sorry that happened to you, man. But hopefully you feel better soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's this one? Oh, yeah. Hulk was great in the ring. However, for me, he shall always be the hero that took out one of the OG "let's make the world worse in every way possible that we can" news websites. Gawker. Thank you, Hulk. Oh, yeah. He sued them, didn't they? And basically they shut down because of him.
It is so
Fuck them
weird
up.
going from talking about an MCU movie to hearing that the Hulk shut down Gorka.
I know.
Different
Go for a
character.
sex tape as well.
We live in crazy times.
The Hulk sex tape.
It was.
Sorry, I mean, just like after talking about Marvel, like, no, we need to clarify.
The Hulk, that tape is something else. I remember there's a moment in it where he goes like, "Oh, I shouldn't have had that sushi." God damn. What's this one? In honor of Open Bar 151, I'd like to recall the last time I drank Bacardi 151. Unfortunately, I don't remember much beyond getting out of a moving car while being driven home. That sounds like a perfect night out. Well done. Gentlemen, with the passing of the Dark Prince, Ozzy Osbourne, and now Hulk Hogan, give us your best Ozzy impression and end every sentence until the end of the stream with the word brother. I don't think we can do that, brother. It's going to be brother. It's going to be difficult after a while.
I need a bat.
Excuse me. Hostile Hippie. I can't be the only one that watched Superman, and all I saw in his face in line delivery was 90s Brendan Fraser. That was interesting, actually. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. I will say, and I'm just going to go on record and say this, I like this movie more than Superman.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
So it's ironic because it's like, you know, after especially you guys have spent the last hour shitting on it, it is unequivocally the best comic book superhero movie of the year.
I think it's, but I think 4 of us out of 5 said it was bad, right? I can't remember what you said, Drinker. It's just like
I quite liked it. Like,
Well, yeah, well, still, I mean, there's things to like, but like, do you think it's on a scale of, I don't know, terrible, bad, neutral, good, great? Where would you slot it? Good?
it's neutral to good for me, which is like
Okay.
fucking fantastic from a MCU point of view.
Like I said, I
Mm.
think it's a better kind of bad. That's how I see it. It's and when I say better, I mean better than Rebirth and Superman, but not hugely or anything. There's not some kind of great chasm there.
Yeah, I could have seen myself liking this movie if it had had more depth about certain ideas that they raised. That was my main issue with it. If they'd stopped repeating family so much as if the words actually has some deep connotations that we need to be told about.
Are you saying it doesn't? Are you contradicting the the Fast and the Furious movies?
I'm saying rather than just saying the word family, you should probably look at what it means to be a family, which is what they didn't do.
Was this one? What are some of your favorite scenes from bad films? Two of mine are the chair toss in *Malignant*. That's fucking spectacular.
Yeah.
That killed us when we were watching it. And when Helsing and Dracula meet in the 2004 Van Helsing, that is a good scene actually. Also, that's 5 too many Pedros for me to handle. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of Pedro action going on today. Hold on, I need to bring him back for a minute. There we go.
There's a great scene in Independence Day 2 when like the alien queen is chasing a school bus driven by Jeff Goldblum's father, full of school kids across a desert, and it's just so ridiculous, but it's hilarious to watch.
My favorite line of any movie is Starship Troopers when they're caught by the alien, the bugs in the cave, and she turns and goes, "Why don't they kill us?" And he just replies, "Because they want us alive."
No kidding. What was it like? One of my favorites ever. There's this fucking like the lowest of low budget martial arts movie from Ireland called Fatal Deviation. And for some reason, it's got Mikey from Boyzone in it, and like he's playing like one of the baddies. I reviewed this ages ago, and it was such a laugh. But one of his lines is talking to like the damsel in distress that he's kidnapped, and he just goes, "You've made me look bad, and that's not good."
The man is straightforward. What can you say?
Absolutely delivers it with conviction as well. I loved it. When creating worlds with superheroes and cosmic supernatural threats, how do you make sure the various powers, technology, and monsters don't break your story? What aspects of the world need most focus? Probably consistency more than anything. Set limits to what things do. Like, you can have all kinds of weird and wild technology and rules and magic and all that, but as long as you stay consistent about how it works and what it can do, at least you've got some sort of framework.
Remember it when you use a thing for a moment and you're like, "Oh, that's great because that does that." Next time you're doing a thing, you got to remember that's what you said is true now. You got to stick to it.
Yeah. And Sam Wallace says, with all the audience support, audience don't support diversity talk. It's funny how K-pop Demon Hunters is slain Netflix, made by Koreans for Koreans without once being condescending. Just an uplifting story told well.
Audiences also don't support original movies, which is why Elio failed. It's all of your fault. Everybody listening to this, it's your fault, Elio failed, for not seeing it. If you aren't going to go watch original movies, then don't fucking ask for them, you assholes.
Yeah.
That's one of my issues with marking movies on a scale, though, is like, if I wanted to mark this movie a 5, it would mean that I'd have to mark Korean movies way higher, but their average movie is way better than this. And so I almost need different scales across countries just because the quality levels are so different now.
Let me ask you a question. I like this one. Great panel. We have Critical Pedro, Dispedro, Peddler, Little Pedroon, and Pedrot. Truly, we are blessed. The real question, would you rather be Pedro Pascal's intimacy assistant for a year and no one knows, or not be, but everyone thinks that you were?
I have no idea what that means.
The intimacy assistant is the one that tells you the parts
No,
that you can't touch.
I mean, I don't know what, and no one knows or not be, but everyone thinks
so
you were.
So yeah,
the question is, like, would you do it for a year but nobody finds out about it, or would you not do it at all but everyone thinks that you did it?
That'd be me. I'd be his assistant for a year and no one knows, just to see what you could get him to do. Because he already got his costume designer fired after everyone started having to go out of all of his clothes and stuff. So Pedro, you can just go, wear this or do this, he'll do it. Be like, no, go on. Just randomly stroke that wife's chin for no reason whatsoever. And just see what happens.
All the sort of the nervous stroking because he suffers from anxiety, as people have pointed out many times. Like, oh, it's funny how he never gets anxious around men. It's always just beautiful women. Yeah. Well,
And she's pretty handsy too,
She
But
is,
maybe
yeah,
something-
she absolutely
Maybe
is.
something's going on there that her husband should be concerned about. I don't
If
know.
it was anyone else, I'd say yes, but when it's Pedro, no, surely not.
Just recently started following the channel, and it's such a relief to hear someone who actually cares about the artistic side of movies and recognizes that good cinema is all but dead. Thank you, sir. Well, morale -1 right there, but yeah. Like,
Yay!
there's still good. There's still some nice things out there. We
Yeah.
Disparu referenced F1 there. That just came out a couple of weeks ago. I really enjoyed that movie.
F1's my
wasn't-
movie of the year so far.
Wasn't great
Sinners-
art or anything, but it's just a fun fucking movie. I liked it.
Sinners is another good movie, and then K-pop Demon Hunters is fucking brilliant.
Warfare. Check it out.
I'm
And
still
Warfare.
hoping for Nobody 2 and Tron Ares. I'm hoping both those are good.
Yeah, I mean, for all the shit that's been out this year, it's probably been the strongest year I think for movies this decade so far, and easily. It's a very low bar, but I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
I mean,
Maybe.
well, let me ask you guys a question then, because what we assumed, July was going to be the big deciding month for really superhero movies as a general concept, because one, you had Superman, like that is needed for DC to resurrect its cinematic universe. Like if this doesn't work, James Gunn's DCU is kind of fucked. Like what have you got after that? Like Supergirl. Like if you can't get Superman to work, ain't nobody going to watch Supergirl. And with this Fantastic Four, this is one of the biggest groups of characters in Marvel. Really, they've been waiting a long time to get their hands on this property, and now that they have it, they kind of needed it to work more than ever because they've had 2 flops already this year, and this would make another one. And then you've also got in the mix Jurassic World Rebirth, which is we know these movies make $1 billion easily, like no matter how good or bad they are. And this one's been fucking horrendous, but it's still good. It's doing good business. Where do you guys see this month like shaping up in terms of like the final box office tallies? Like who's going to be the big winner and loser from all of this? Because right now, honestly, it's hard for me to gauge. I thought Fantastic Four was going to get trumped by everything, but it's probably the best of the bunch by far.
Still
I mean,
might get trumped by
audiences-
everything, though.
It might, yeah, it might.
Audiences will like it. I'll say that. Like I have I'm the coolest on this movie out of all 5 of us, but audiences will like Fantastic Four. They'll have a good time with it. Whether it'll perform at the box office is a different question, but we'll see. It'll be interesting once you have the numbers for this weekend. You'll get the numbers for Superman and Fantastic Four. Superman's 3rd weekend. You'll have a much better idea of where superhero movies are at culturally and what's possible and not possible for them moving forward.
Yeah.
Do you think the reaction to, I mean, particularly Superman, and it's probably too early to say for this film, does at least dull the argument from superhero fatigue? People really, really want to like Superman in particular, and I can see this movie may benefit from some of that as well. It's hard to know how much of it then becomes Marvel fatigue and how much of it is something else, but like there is still quite a big audience demand for superhero films, to the extent that a really shit superhero film can come out but be slightly different and people will say it's the best thing ever, or at least a good movie in the case of the Superman film. It's not that people are done with the genre, as much done with the genre as maybe some people thought they were to begin with. I don't know how much this will last and how many legs it will have, or how long those legs will carry it, because I still maintain like Superman is not going to be looked back on particularly fondly. I don't know if it carries much momentum through to Supergirl, which is already a slightly strange follow-up act anyway. Its flaws might undermine it, but it does at least confirm to me anyway that there is still demand for these movies. There was always going to be demand for Jurassic World because there's dinosaurs and people are stupid. But, there's still a chance for superheroes too.
I never saw Fantastic Four that important to Marvel. I was surprised they put so much into it, to be honest. I never thought the IP was that amazingly well known or important, especially compared to something like Superman. I always thought Doomsday is their big, this is the future of Marvel or not, because they brought everything back. They paid everyone else a fortune. So for
I
me,
mean, it still is.
I mean,
well, yeah, but everyone saw this as like the make or break of Marvel. I was like, no, this is irrelevant. This is the same as all the other phases. It's Doomsday, which is going to be the start, the reboot. I almost saw this one as kind of negligible to the future
well,
Marvel.
I think with Fantastic Four, like they are called Marvel's first family for a reason. Like from a comic perspective and a legacy perspective, like they are really important because they're like, I don't know, they're the kicked off Marvel, and so it is still important, I think, for them to make this work. And particularly if it was to flop, like you've essentially then had 3 flops in a year. Like everything they put out this year would have failed, and that is a horrendous thing from just a franchise perspective. Like that's going to bring down the next movie.
It would really limit them as well if the only successful thing they could do is an Avengers film. If this movie came out, and because you imagine that Pedro Pascal and the Fantastic Four will be very important to whatever the MCU after the next Avengers movie is going to be. If this bombs, but Avengers does well, all they've confirmed is that people will turn up to see a big ensemble film every now and then, but there's no legs in your story at all. And the people you've now earmarked to lead your franchise, they're not popular enough on their own to sustain a film, which would be bad for Marvel. I I think the box office is tracking quite well for this film. I haven't followed it very closely, but that kind of again suggests that they've met their objectives. These characters can actually sustain individual films as well as like appear in other people's.
I think this is going to cut hard into Superman's box office. I think this is coming at the worst possible time for Superman, where you're getting to that into your third weekend when interest in the movie will be starting to tail off anyway. Like most of the people who wanted to see it will have done so already, and so suddenly, boom, you've got a new superhero movie that's come out that's getting quite good reviews. People seem quite excited about, and it's just people are going to get driven to that instead. So I think you're going to see a heavy drop off in Superman's box office this weekend.
Let me ask you. So Superman is currently at 432 million. Do you think that it gets to 700 million?
No.
600 million?
Probably.
Because 600 million is a failure. Like that's bad.
Yeah, but
that's really bad.
It shouldn't be. Like if you can't profit off a $600 million movie, you've misbudgeted your movie. And this is where I think DC is actually in a good shape if they keep on with it, because Clayface cost $40 million. And so they've made a niche movie for a niche audience with a niche budget. And that is what you need to do. Rather than just going, everything needs to make $1 billion or failure, you work out the audience size of your movie, you set an appropriate budget, and you go from there. So if Superman movies just make 600 from now on, then that's what you do, and that's what you assume. And if you make more,
that's exactly right. I mean, the problem is people think it's all or nothing with superhero movies. Superhero movies are still quite popular, but they're not what they were 10 years ago. Just bring the fucking budgets down and you'll make money.
Normally, I would say 100% agree, and I would with every other movie, but when it's Superman, like people kind of want spectacle from it, and spectacle means special effects, which means a big budget, unfortunately.
You can have lost leaders, like supermarkets and everyone do lost leaders, but I do think for all your other characters, stop spending 200 million on a Thunderbolt movie and stuff like that.
I 100% agree. Like 100 million per movie would be ideal, because then it's like there's no real pressure on it to make crazy amounts of money, and I think it's much more in keeping with the sort of managed decline of the superhero genre. Like, okay, it's not this big cultural force now, but there are still a pretty, there's a solid fan base out there for this stuff still. Adjust your budgets accordingly, and you can still continue to make profit from it. Just you can't make these crazy $300 million movies anymore. The market has shifted now.
And I like James Gunn's comment where it's like superheroes aren't a genre, and that's kind of the problem with them. It's essentially a hero movie. And so you can have horror superhero movies, you can have sci-fi superhero movies, you can have Western superhero movies if you wanted. And you've just got to set appropriate budgets for the genre they are. And that's 40 million for Clayface, that's got to make money. Even if it comes out at 200 million or something.
Well, I mean, they're not wrapped yet. It could be like a balloon easily for all we know.
Don't let them. You have to be strict with the budgets. You can't go around overspending. If you do, you fire them.
Welcome to Hollywood.
Why I admire Universal for what they've done with Jurassic Park, because as much as it's just become the worst kind of horrible slop, like that last movie was appalling, But they hired Gareth Edwards because they knew he could bring a movie in on a reasonably low budget. $150 million for a Jurassic slop movie. That's pretty good. And they got the right director for it, Gareth Edwards, because he knows what he's doing and he can make that on budget. And they've made a ton of money because of that, because they budgeted it right and they hired the right guy. From a business perspective, what they've done with Jurassic World is brilliant. It's just that the movies are absolute garbage, but it's good business for them.
Just before we move on here, there's a $50 super chat that came in from Bumblebee, who says, Drinker, you need to plug your gaming channel on your other channels. I forgot that you had one. Well, I'm sorry. Like, I thought people kind of knew about it at this point. I do, like, when I put out a new video on the gaming channel, I try and, like, mention it on the main channel so people know it's there. But last time I watched was last March when you were playing Resident Evil 4 Remake, which you never finished. Will you finish? Tatiana says, Drinker, please finish for once. Oh, I have no problem finishing when Tatiana's involved. Ironically, it's probably too soon I do it, but never mind. But yeah, with that, I did like play through the whole thing, obviously. I just didn't stream all of it, and I've got a habit of doing that with games. Like, there's times when, especially if it's story driven, like not so much with RE4, but with other games, you kind of want to just be able to enjoy the story without feeling like you have to be in entertainment mode the whole time and streaming it. So yeah, I'm a bit inconsistent with streaming all the games that I play, but with that one I did do it all the way to the ends. I would happily stream some more. But yeah, like the new Resident Evil's coming out next year. That's like Resident Evil Requiem, I think. So we'll see how that is. I'll definitely stream some of that because it should be fun, I would hope.
By the way, that last video you did on your gaming channel was excellent. Like, modern gamers aren't happy because they don't own anything.
Oh yeah.
You articulated really well all of the problems with modern gaming. It's one of the reasons I'm mostly just a retro gamer, for all the reasons you said.
No, it was very much in response to the whole like stop killing games movement, where it's like, one, like games can just get shut down if the servers get decommissioned and all that, and like you've got no way to get updates, patches, all that sort of thing. And like when you get them, they are fucking useless. Like they have to have like 5 hours of updates just to function. And it's just bullshit. They shouldn't be like that. There should be some kind of like safeguards against this kind of thing.
Yeah, I bought GTA 5 recently because I'd never played it before, and I thought, I want to play this before the next one comes out. And it took me 2 hours from purchase to before I could start playing it. With all the shit, because I had to create a Rockstar account, had to download all this shit and software, and then I have to go do something else, and then by the time I come back, it has updates. It was 2 hours it took.
Doom Eternal pissed me. No, not Doom Eternal. Sorry, Doom: The Dark Ages pissed me off so much. Like, although it's a good game and it was a lot of fun, when I got it on disc because I was like, I want a physical copy of it. Put it in, and it was like 8 hours to download, and I was like, why the fuck is it taking that long? Why is it not copying the data from the disc? And it's like, there is no data on the disc. It's literally just the download key. It's like, well, why the fuck did you give me a disc then? Like, if that's all it is.
Dude, you're lucky you get a disc these days. It's all performative at this point. The discs don't mean anything. Practically just permission.
Yeah. Ready or Not has been a game on PC for years. It was always a certain way. Then it got released on consoles. Sony didn't like it, so they wanted it censored, and they've censored it on the PC platform. Even if you buy a game, it can get changed later just to get nerfed for a different platform for different sensibilities. So nothing stays anymore.
Nothing is sacred.
Speaking of nothing being sacred, Judge Dredd. We like him. Not so much the Sylvester Stallone movie, although my God, that's got some charm to it these days.
By the way, I tried to watch that recently. Please, nobody in the chat tell me that, actually, the Sylvester Stallone movie was way better than the Alex Garland movie. It's not. It's absolutely...
Who says that it's better?
Nobody.
I swear to God,
nobody
man.
No one in their right mind is going to say
he
that.
did. I released a video on Dredd, like 2012 Dredd, and there were so many people in my comments saying, the Sylvester Stallone one was way better. It's way more accurate to the comics. It's like, man, you haven't seen that movie since you were a kid. That's why you think that. It's shocking.
And I'm never going to watch it again, so I preserve this ignorance.
Yeah, how dare you? It's a great film.
My favorite piece of like pointless lore about that movie is the shot of Sylvester Stallone with the shotgun before he goes back to Mega City 1. That was ultimately used as the box cover art for Resident Evil. The guy who's on the front cover of that with the shotgun, like that was based on Sylvester Stallone from that movie. That's where they got the art from, and then they just tweaked it a little bit. It's the most stupid thing ever, but yeah.
My favorite moment from the start of that movie is where he drives up and they're all shooting and they're taking cover, and he's like, they only have an accuracy range of 100 meters. This is 150 or whatever it is. Why are you like taking cover? It's like, hang on, the bullets are still hitting the ground. Just because it's inaccurate, they will hit you eventually.
But if I was to say to you, like, well, who would you pick as the director of another Judge Dredd movie? I'm pretty sure, like, a name that's very low on your list would be Taika Waititi. And that's what seems to be happening right now. Or at least they are shopping it around, because the headlines for this were a little bit misleading, right? Because this would have everyone believe that there was a movie in active production here and he was about to go all in on making this thing. But what you actually get is something slightly different. And this is from Variety here. Taika Waititi, the Oscar-winning filmmaker of Jojo Rabbit, good movie, and the 2 Thor movies, not so much. He is attached to direct Judge Dredd. Variety has confirmed Drew Pearce, known for Fall Guy and Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, is going to adapt the screenplay. And here's the thing that's important here. The project doesn't have a studio attached and is being shopped around Hollywood. And if you've got even an ounce of common sense, you will not go anywhere near this fucking thing. Yeah, why the hell would you want Taika Waititi to direct a Judge Dredd movie? I don't even know what his interest would be in it. It's the most baffling choice.
I swear in the last Thor movie, Chris Hemsworth said something like, Taika Waititi's amazing because it's like working with a 7-year-old. He's got the sense of humor of a 7-year-old.
Didn't he say afterwards, though, he would never work for any more mad genius directors? And it was literally right after he'd done Love and Thunder. It's like,
well, yeah, and that he would want to do Thor unless the character was handled properly. It's like, you know what that implies, right?
But yeah, like, you know, you think of Dredd, you think, like, if you ignore the Stallone movie, dark, grim, serious, gritty, violent, you know, like everything that we got from the Carl Urban movie from like 10 years ago. He's not going to bring that, I don't think. I don't see what he would, what he'd ever bring to the table there. Do you want to see Dredd as like a quirky comedy?
From the perspective of a studio, bear in mind, these people, they only think about money. That movie, that Dredd movie from 2012 with Carl Urban, that was a flop. Now, I made a video explaining why it was a flop. It was because it was marketed as Dredd 3D, and it was really pushed as a 3D movie. And this was happening right at the end of the 3D phase, which was started by Avatar. And in fact, it was so bad that the distributors in the UK refused to provide 2D prints to cinemas who were asking for them, because they had people who wanted to watch the movie but didn't want to watch it in 3D because, you know, a lot of people can't watch 3D. It gives them a headache or they've got vision issues. By the way, my voice is bleeding somewhere. But yeah, so it was an appallingly marketed movie. In fact, Carl Urban is on record as saying that the movie was basically sabotaged by the distributors and by the studio. But as far as a movie studio today is concerned, they'll look at that 2012 Dredd as a failure and think, oh, well, because it was too dark and too gritty and not relatable enough. We need to update it for a modern audience and make it flashy and bright and gay and fun.
Well, Taika would definitely bring that, but I mean, wow. It's just wild to think what he would do with a character like that. It's kind of interesting as well, because I was very much of the opinion that he was in director's jail after doing Love and Thunder. And when I was looking at his filmography here, so he had Thor Love and Thunder back in 2022. Since then, he's done one movie, Next Goal Wins.
Which flopped. It cost $14 million and made $18 million.
Yeah, and it kind of made me think, okay, this guy's just fucking done. Like, nobody's interested in hiring him. He's obviously got a terrible reputation after Love and Thunder. That was like one of the only movies that he wrote and directed. Like, he didn't write Ragnarok, he just directed it. And that was the problem. You know, he was free to indulge all of his 10-year-old fucking childish sensibilities with it, and it was a disaster.
He did Time Bandits, which is
a
truly horrific TV series. It was so packed, like every single line is awful, and you'd have to talk about it, which is why I never reviewed it. It'd take too much time. So yeah, he definitely, Time Bandits showed me he hasn't learned anything since then. If he comes back, he will be exactly the same.
By the way, is there any names around for who's playing Dredd?
No, like this, because this is the thing, right? The article leads with this big, like, attention-grabbing headline where it's like, yeah, Taika Waititi to direct Judge Dredd movie, which implies like it's already in the works and they're getting ready to shoot. In reality, they have nothing. Like he and this writer, who is it again? Drew Pearce. So essentially, they've got the rights to it at the moment, but that's it. There's no studio attached. There's no actors attached. There's no budget allocated to it. They have nothing. What they're hoping is they can shop it around and get someone to buy into it, which no one will if they've got even an ounce of common sense. They would say, right, yeah, we'll take the rights for X number of dollars, but Taika, you can fuck right off. You know?
To be honest, I don't think this is going to go anywhere because wasn't the Sylvester Stallone one a flop?
That's a good question, actually. Hold on.
I would have thought so.
I know it was critically lambasted, but that doesn't mean a whole lot in the whole.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. Let's see. So it had a budget of 90 million, made 113 million worldwide. So it's a flop.
Yeah. So you've got two movies made, both of them flopped really badly, and now you've got a director whose last two movies have flopped, and he says, "Yeah, I want to direct Dredd. Give me 150 million to 200 million dollars." Yeah, it's not happening.
The thing is, Judge Dredd is a bit of a niche property anyway. Like I think it's fantastic, but like it's not exactly a household name. I feel like it's it doesn't have that mass market appeal necessarily, and so it maybe is a tough sell at this point, especially if you have had, like you say, two movies that have flopped with it and haven't been able to make a go of it. Like maybe the wisdom in Hollywood would be, there's just not an audience for Judge Dredd. What's the point in investing another $100 million and making another movie of it?
Yeah, I don't think that would go anywhere. I mean, I heard a rumor that Amazon wanted it as a show and they were going to bring back Karl Urban, but I mean, there's a lot of rumors around Dredd.
Yeah, and the frustrating thing is he's up for doing more. He really enjoyed it, and he said he would do more.
In fact, Alex Garland had already written the sequel, and he had ideas for the follow-up, and he said he did like 14 drafts of the script, and it was ready, but it just didn't make enough money, and it's a shame, man, because that would have been, I think that could have been really special if they'd been able to make that trilogy.
Yeah, I wish they just stuck with it, and maybe seen that first movie as a bit of a loss leader, but hey, let's learn our lessons from that and, make another one, and we can do something with this. I guess it's not going to happen, and, Karl Urban is getting older as well. Maybe that window is closing a little bit.
Yeah, Austin Butler would be a good young Dredd.
You don't think he's too?
If he bulks up a bit, maybe.
Well, I mean, Karl Urban bulked up. I mean, he put on a lot of weight for that, like muscle for that role in 2012.
I mean, maybe, yeah, maybe. I like Austin Butler as an actor. I just think he's too much of a pretty boy to be Dredd.
I mean, I did say young Dredd, like if you wanted to go in that direction. I think the ideal age for Dredd is sort of like 40.
Yeah.
A bit older, a bit more paternal somewhat and stern. But just if they wanted to do something, I mean, if it's going to be Taika Waititi, he's going to want to go in that direction anyway. He's going to want to make it a bit less stern but hopefully it doesn't get made. Let's just say that.
It probably won't. There's a good question here, actually, from Razor Rhea, saying, having read some Judge Dredd comics, it pisses me off that no one can seem to get this character or this world right. I mean, I would say probably they got it pretty right with the Karl Urban one, but who would you want to write and direct and star in a Judge Dredd project if you were in charge of it? I want Pedro Pascal to star in it.
I was thinking of the same joke. I'm not sure whether I can get away with that one.
Could Pedro Pascal do Dredd?
Why would
I actually think he could, but we've seen him in so many other things that I don't want him to.
He is a really good actor. I mean, to be fair, he was actually, I think he was the best thing about Fantastic Four. That was the one character they really got right.
I don't think Judge Dredd really fits with his sensibilities though as an actor and as a person. Like he can act for sure, but like there's limits to what you can convey, and I don't know, like Judge Dredd should be like a hyper masculine, hyper like aggressive, dangerous, terrifying force of nature almost. I don't necessarily get that from Pedro Pascal. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Dredd also needs to have like a hyper expressive chin because it's basically all you see of his character.
Yeah. The voice as
We
well.
just need
That
a man with
really
the biggest goddamn chin in Hollywood.
that gruff voice that Carl Urban did. You take it for granted, but when I was doing my Dredd video, I did this little like skit where I imitated Dredd's voice, and it wrecks your throat trying to
Yeah.
talk like that. Really impressive that performance from Carl Urban. So slept on.
No, absolutely. Yeah, it's just a shame we might not get any more. Yeah, the other thing I was going to ask you guys about is, well, we've already talked about Fantastic Four and how it's going to lead into Avengers Doomsday and then Secret Wars, and this is going to ultimately lead into apparently a full-on reboot of the MCU, from what we've been told here. There's an article from Variety here which talks about it. It's going to start off with a recasting of the X-Men, which is 100% to be expected after, doing the Doomsday and Secret Wars stuff, where they're wanting to bring back a lot of the original X-Men from the 2000s movies. They're all like pensioners at this point, so they're going to have to be recast anyway. But Kevin Feige's just come out and admitted that they're also going to recast Tony Stark and pretty much all of the Avengers. So this is going to lead to a full-on reboot of the MCU. And I guess I was curious, like, at this point, do you see any point in doing it? Is it actually going to reinvigorate something like this? Are we just going to be locked into this horrifying nightmare world where it just like recycles every 15, 20 years? Like they just go back to the beginning and start again?
Resetting the story changes nothing if they don't change the way they make stories.
Yes.
It doesn't matter.
But the thing is, like, can they even recapture that like cultural zeitgeist that they had, 10 years ago?
I don't think, not by recasting the same characters, because I think that would be quite obvious to everyone as a desperation move. That we've already seen it, and we've seen it in the relatively recent past, and those were really well regarded, and we don't need to see the same characters again with different actors. Surely there are more characters that you could cast and play for new stories with new characters before you get around in the very long distant future to redoing Tony Stark, for example.
Well, I mean, DC, we've just seen another Superman, and no one ever really had a problem with rebooting Superman or Batman.
Yeah, but that's because they were
been so many
all,
different
like,
actors at this point.
all the DC stuff had been shit, though. Whereas, so like, it was the first
was the
chance of
Marvel
getting a
stuff.
good one. Well, the Marvel stuff has been shit for a little while, but the stories featuring the characters they're talking about recasting weren't shit. Well, some of them were shit, but like most of them are regarded as not being shit. So it's not kind of the same in the sense that a second chance at something that failed the first time. Now it's just, well, this was successful. We have since failed. Do you want more of old thing again? Yes, please.
Well, I think they would bring back the original actors if they could, but they've just aged out at this point. Like, they could have been making movies with those same actors till now, and they decided to throw them out. So they never wanted those actors. I think my issue is, are you going to follow... Like, there isn't really a new crop of young actors in Hollywood that's massive. That's why we're still using all the old action heroes going around, like, 60 and 70 doing action movies, because there is no really young masculine guys that you can believe could make Die Hard. They don't really exist. But Marvel would have to find those people, and it is like they'd have to overhaul stories, overhaul who they're hiring, their hiring practices. You'd have to kind of overhaul the company at the same time that you overhaul the universe, because you need new people.
I mean, they've already got quite a lot of... Well, I mean, they've got a lot of characters that they've introduced over the last few years, obviously. They've got at least 2 distinct teams. And I think the casting, even for Thunderbolts, the casting itself was one of the stronger elements of the film. And Fantastic Four, I think the casting was pretty good for that. That's already, what, like 8, 9 characters that you can work with if you don't include Captain America, because we'd rather not. You've got enough people to be telling a story with for the next good few years if you wanted to lean into these characters and actually make something of them. I don't think like immediately jumping back and saying you've got all these people plus the X-Men who are coming plus all the old people recast. Why do you need this many to tell whatever story you have in mind?
I think it's easier to. I think it's easier to start a universe fresh. Like, not do what James Gunn did and be like, no, I'm keeping my wife. I'm keeping this guy over here. No, just reboot everybody, start fresh, and then people can consciously like decouple it from the old one. And I do think that'll help with if you've had a load of bad movies and you've got bad PR. Be like, okay, this is a entirely new thing, not a phase that no one hears about, but actually announce and market it as an entirely new MCU.
Yeah, I think if there wasn't the constant drive to make money, then it would definitely make sense to do Doomsday and then Secret Wars and then put it on hiatus for 5 years. Just make no more new movies, no more new TV shows. Just say, right, that's it. And then when we come back, we're going to be starting afresh. And like you say, that allows people that time to make that disconnection from what we had before. And when we come back, we're starting afresh. Wipe the slate clean. We're going to do a whole bunch of new stuff. And we can start off with the X-Men, brand new X-Men and stuff, and then build that up. And it's a whole new story. Forget about the old MCU. But they won't be able to do that because there's always the drive to make more movies, to make more money, because they can't stop. And so you never get a chance to rest with it, and you never get a chance to disconnect from what was before.
It's similar to what has happened with the Harry Potter franchise, because they had their 7 movies, and then they tried to expand the franchise with their Fantastic Beasts sub-franchise, and Fantastic Beasts was wretched. It was so bad. And it ultimately ended up being a commercial flop. It didn't work. And now they've gone back and said, fuck all that. We're done with Fantastic Beasts. We're just going to recast and have the TV show. So it's becoming a pattern. It's not just Marvel that are doing this.
How much money? Well, yeah. You kind of wonder how much money is to be made from the TV show versus movies. Like for Harry Potter, like I feel like the theatrical releases is the way to go if you really want to rake in the big bucks, because they're going to spend a shit ton on that. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Like they just revert back to what they had before. And yeah, DC is the worst possible example, because as Disparu pointed out, like you've got this strange half like reboot where they're starting afresh and they've got a new Superman. They're going to have a new Batman, but there's also the Robert Pattinson Batman, but they're also keeping some elements from the original Snyderverse. They're keeping Peacemaker. They're keeping like some of the Suicide Squad stuff. They've still got Amanda Waller.
Jason Momoa is coming back, but as a different person.
Yeah,
which is really confusing.
Sean Gunn will be in fucking everything. Of course he will, because he's James's brother, and it's so weird and confusing for people. Like, yeah, it's a strange way of trying to reboot your franchise.
Yeah, and bear in mind with the Harry Potter as well, one of the reasons I think the main reasons they decided to go with the show rather than the theatrical route is that the merchandise sales for that franchise are absolutely massive. So they can always lean on that financially.
And they want to capture the next generation coming up as well, so they keep it in the public zeitgeist to always get new customers that will buy stuff for decades kind of thing. So I think they will have to keep pumping out the universe in some way or form. And at least they're doing it in a different medium. I do think that you've pitched the movies, and rather than remake the movies, which is very risky, you go to TV, and now you have a longer time to tell a more detailed story, and it's kind of a different product you're giving people, rather than a remake.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's actually like what they're doing, because I think you can give the attention that each book deserves over the course of a season of television. And there's a lot of book there for each season.
You run into the Stranger Things problem, though, where you've got child actors who are going to grow up very quickly.
Yeah.
And like, if you're going to do this fucking like 3 years between seasons bullshit, like, yeah, you're screwed. Like, those kids are going to grow up real fast.
Yeah, like, genuinely, they need to overcome that problem. They must have anticipated it, right?
I mean, how old is Millie Bobby Brown now?
Back, so.
Millie Bobby Brown is like 45 now. Or she just looks it. Yeah, we were doing this the other week where we saw the Stranger Things season 5 trailer, and all throughout it was just us going like, "Oh my god, they're so old."
Yeah, that is going to be a problem with Harry Potter, but fuck it, suspension of disbelief, or wizards look older or something.
Well, they'll perhaps film multiple seasons back to back or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
film it in one massive block and then just edit it later.
I think that's what they're doing with season 1 and 2. But it is a case of all TV series used to have 22 and 24 episodes a year. There's no reason they can't do it now. They're choosing to not do it now. So whatever is slowing you down, change it.
Is it the higher production quality costs and the VFX, and what is it that's delaying them so massively now?
It's both of those things. From what I've been told by people, like a lot of shows, even ones that you don't think use a lot of VFX, they absolutely do. And the production values are just a lot higher. They're kind of on par with movies now, and like that just means more time to set things up, more time to get funding and logistics in place. It all just adds up to delays, and like things just take way longer. There's also the demise of episodic storytelling, where it's now just serialized, And so you can't really have a 24 episode season because there's just not enough story to fill it up, because like each episode isn't a self-contained story arc like we used to have. So yeah, add all those things together and it's just much shorter seasons. They take way longer to make and they cost so much fucking more money than you ever saw in the past.
Yeah. What's your estimate of how long we have to wait for another season of The Last of Us? Because they have to come up with a new season now. They can't go on the game anymore. They're going to just go off and do their own thing. They're going to write that, and then it's going to take them 2 or 3 years, like, before we see that heap of shit again.
Yeah, probably 2 or 3 years. They still have the second half of the second game to do. Well, you've got to get Abby smash.
Surely they're just going to distance themselves from that now, though, because they know that they'll lose the rest of the audience that they do have left. I mean, I will give them credit for not sending in good money after bad. Or sorry, yeah, because they know that with Neil Druckmann's game, it failed. You know, the second game has failed as a season of TV. I'll be interested to see what they do. Are they going to reboot it and take it in a completely different direction? Are they going to try to do something with the game?
I think they've gotten rid of Neil Druckmann. God, what can they do? Like, if they change it, they're going to get shit from fans of the game, like the small number of people that are actually out there. And if they keep it the same, well, whoever is left is going to be pissed off because it's a horrendous story that they told in the game, so they can't win.
What would you do?
I'd take the hit and I would change it.
Yeah, I absolutely 100% agree.
There's no other way to do it.
I would divest myself completely of the game. I'd say, lads, we just have to basically reboot the franchise, or else it's gone. Like, it's either the franchise is gone or we reboot it. There's no other choice.
I don't know if I could do this. Like,
not reboot from the start. It's the same timeline, but maybe focus on different characters and focus on a different story and have Bella Ramsey in like 1 or 2 episodes. But they've got to do something drastic.
Well, I was going to say, like, the only way I could think to get rid of her is, like, do a time jump and then be like, we need someone older. And so recast Ellie and get a different actress in, because I think that's a big part of the problem. And then just radically overhaul the story. I don't know what the fuck you can do to try and fix this mess.
They should have, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but they should have dragged it out so they could keep Pedro. That, like, everyone thought they were going to do that. And sort of put in more backstory or show other perspectives a bit more earlier on, and then get rid of him with the golf club later. I'm amazed they kept to the same timeline of the game. Yeah, they were so confident that no, it's just gamers being bigots or whatever the excuse they came out with at the time, and that once we get to the mass media, they'll love it.
Pedro Pascal is everywhere right now, and the one franchise that got rid of him lost more than half their audience.
Yeah. This is the frustrating thing about the guy, right? Because, you know, whatever you think about him on social media or his weird, like, quirks in real life, he can act. He is a good actor, and he does bring a lot to the roles that he's in. And, like, he was unquestionably the best thing about The Last of Us. Like, whenever he was on screen, he was acting up a storm even with the shit material he was given. And so it's like, yeah, as you say, when they lost him, they lost by far the best asset that the show had. And, you know, Bella Ramsey and whatever that other girl was called, they were not enough to carry it. Absolutely not. But they should have known that.
You saw exactly the same reaction play out for the TV series that played out in the game. The moment people hit that, they were enraged. You actually, there was like a wave went over Twitter of people that had never played the games who hit there, who were suddenly angry, and I was like, oh, so you got that bit then.
That is amazing that he hit that so hard in 2 completely different mediums and industries. It's like, how you feeling there, Druckmann? He's still convinced it was a great story.
Yeah, I can't wait for his new game, the Intergalactic Heretic Profit Margin.
When is that coming out? Is there a release date for that?
Not yet.
Year, I think.
We're far away from that, fortunately.
Yeah, gotta love it. What's this one here? MauLer, happy year of tipples. I mean,
can't go wrong with tipples.
Yeah. Do you guys have a bit of time for a few super chats since we're covering it? Yeah. All right, let's see what we got here. There's a few that are not listed on StreamYard, so I'll have to go back to the beginning. RRTNZ says, Saw Fantastic Four. The visuals are great, but there are plenty of moments of unbelievable stupidity. It's like a comic drawn by Jack Kirby, but written by his moron nephew. A 4 out of 10 feels generous. Wow, harsh stuff indeed. I'd probably give it 6. I'd go around the 6.
I'd probably be at 5. That was the thing. I think you could have made this a good movie if you expanded on some things and dropped some others. I don't think it's unfixable.
He also says, must say, Despot called Fantastic Four exactly spot on. Trash. There you go, Despot. You got a supporter there.
Thanks, man.
JS Pena, thoughts on Ant-Man? It turned 10 last week. Holy shit, 10 years since Ant-Man. I mean, it's not like it was a milestone movie or anything, but it still feels fairly new.
It's a fun movie. It's nothing like amazing, but
Yeah, it is a good movie.
Yeah.
Was that one of the last really good origin story superhero movies? Because I can't recall an origin story superhero movie that came out after Ant-Man that was that good.
You might be right, actually.
Yeah, I don't think what other contenders there are after Ant-Man, because it was one of the later ones in Marvel anyway.
It was also one of the last. It was at the because if you can't do that anymore. Like think of Blue Beetle. Like audiences just will not show up for origin stories anymore.
You gentlemen, you're clearly forgetting Captain Marvel here. Made $1 billion, okay?
Yeah.
Billion.
I take it back. I take it back. I was wrong.
There you go. Go for Broke says, how long until the Iron Giant gets live action treatment? Oh God, please no. Please no. Mad Dog says, best superhero movie of the year. No dumb Marvel humor or characters. Didn't set up Doomsday at all. Besides, Doom wants Franklin, but we had movies setting up Thanos. Marketing spoiled the movie. 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 is a little bit generous, but
it's
yeah,
quite high.
But the marketing for this movie did tell you pretty much everything. Like from the trailers and everything else, if you actually watched it, it's like, yeah, I could predict all of this.
Giant Squid for $50. Thank you. Says, hail crew, thoughts on the new indie film ZombieCon Volume 1, movie or trailer? Any favorite ultra low budget films? Yeah, I haven't seen that. ZombieCon Volume 1. I'm not too familiar with that one. Ultra low budget.
28 Days Later kind of ultra low budget. That was like $8 million at the time, which would be like 15 million today or something.
Yeah.
It's pretty damn low.
There was one I saw a couple of years back called Censor. It was set during the 80s, and it's like, you remember like the Brits amongst us, which is all of us actually, now that I think about it. You remember the video nasties that did the rounds back in the 80s and early 90s on VHS, where it was just like really low budget, like horror movies that were like super gory and just like really exploitative and stuff. They're really just making the most of the home video market. So it's about like a woman whose job is to try and censor those to make them somewhat suitable for like broadcasting. But like the more she's working on it, the more it starts to like impinge on her real life, and she starts to, you know, have crazy visions of all this like weird shit that goes on in these videotapes. And it's like you know, is she actually going insane? Is this stuff actually happening for real? All that sort of thing. But yeah, I remember that one being really good. It was a neat little horror movie. I like that one. I don't know if you guys have got any like really low budget ones. I mean,
Normally know the budget or stuff like that. There was the story you've just told though reminded me of, I can't remember what the name was, but it was about cleaning VHS tapes of like this black mold. That's like, and he ended up watching this woman's life on the VHS, and until eventually other stuff starts happening, and he starts losing his own mind in this bunker. That was a good TV series. I'll find out the name.
Blankface says this is all Franklin's fault, apparently. Okay. The baby, can we blame him? Really?
Pi, that's a good one by Darren Aronofsky. That was like less than $150,000 at the time. That's a really good movie.
Archive 81 is the one I was thinking of.
Ah, okay. Captain Bucky O'Hare. I loved that cartoon back in the 90s. That was fucking superb. Anyway, says Marvel's so back for the 5th time. So, question for the bar. Given the state of phases 4 and 5, what was the last great non-Avengers entry in the MCU, TV or films? Are going back to 2017, grim times. So, yeah, the last great non-Avengers flick.
Well, this is the annoying thing, right? Whenever people say it's the best Marvel film since Endgame, and your instinctive response is, "Oh, shut up," and then it turns out there's been no good movie since Endgame, so any film could be. I think this is the same problem. It's got to be
Say
before.
Infinity War.
No Way Home? Would we say that?
Well, if we're knocking
yeah.
out Avengers movies, Disparu, then we gotta choose. That's why this is a little bit more.
No, I know,
difficult.
but when it's like, no, it's the last good movie since Endgame, I would go back to Infinity War. I couldn't
Yeah,
stand
same.
Endgame.
I would do that. But yeah, I think it would be Homecoming and Civil War were like because most people 50-50 on Guardians of the Galaxy 2. A lot of people find it a downgrade from the first one, and then Doctor Strange is like,
I'd go Doctor Strange. I really like that one.
A lot of people would say Guardians 3.
eh.
It had great individual moments, but like the overall story was pretty bleh. Kevin O'Neill says Superman and Chuck Norris once fought each other on a bet. The loser had to wear his underpants on the outside for the rest of his life. We know who lost. Cup of Joe says theme songs then inspiring, emotional, exciting, and instantly recognizable. Theme songs now, Fantastic Four. Yeah. It was a bit of a shitty theme tune, actually. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Reno the Turk. On Tuesday, when Molly and Az were discussing Lex dressed as a prison guard about to mount Ultraman, Ozzy passed away. How much more impactful was his passing since he was kind of unofficial British royalty?
Don't know how to address what did we
There's a
talk
lot
about?
going on in there.
Yeah, those are two things that are quite weird to link together at the same
Yeah.
time.
Lex, prison guard, mounting Ultraman, and Ozzy Osbourne dying. I mean, yeah. Coincidence? I don't think so.
It was probably a Brendan Gleeson related thing.
Naturally. Yeah, Aaron says, did you guys enjoy any Korean shows other than Squid Game Season 1? I really like Reborn Rich, Death's Game, and Weak Hero Class 1. Highly recommended.
Yeah, Weak Hero's good.
Kingdom is really good. All of Us Are Dead. I really like that.
That's a good one.
Yeah, those
There's
are probably my favorites.
My Name. That's good. What is it? Jeong Song Creature. It's loads. I'd have to get up my Netflix watch history or scroll Netflix. Something of Souls as well. I can't think of what the thing is.
Mr. Luca is asking, is it just me or should Lex be more subtle? Yes, he should. He should be more controlled.
More of many things. More intelligent.
Yeah.
More restrained. More well written.
More
nice.
like more understandable. I still to this day don't understand why he fucking wants to kill Superman. He's just kind of jealous of him, I guess.
Mad
it's
and
envy and jealousy. Yeah, he needed a much better motivation. Going envy is my superpower. It's not a good line.
So much. Yeah. Zeddy Boy. Hey guys, just bought Serenity's 20th anniversary 4K Steelbook. Nice. We didn't know how good we had it with writing back then. I'm a leaf on the wind. Truly.
In fairness, though, even back then, a lot of people realized that Serenity was a really damn good movie. Like anybody that saw it, I don't think it was a successful movie particularly, but those that did see it loved it.
Well,
Yeah, just not enough people did. That's the problem.
As a lot of people say, it was a film and series at a time. It was just the wrong time, I guess. It was also
They probably
sabotaged,
should have called
obviously.
it Firefly. Like
Yeah.
Serenity sounds like an entirely different series. A lot of people may not even known.
John Gets Gaming. If Pedro could just grow respectable facial hair, he would be 1% more watchable. Aside from the creepy stuff, he's just a plank of wood acting-wise. What happened to the Pedro from Game of Thrones or even Wonder Woman 1984? I'm going to disagree a bit on the acting front. I do think his problem is that he's often miscast in roles, but I don't think he's a bad actor.
Yeah, I think
I
he's a
didn't
very
in
good
other
actor.
things. I just didn't like him in this specifically. But even in Gladiator, like I think it kind of worked.
I
It was a-
have the opposite view. Actually, I liked him in this and thought he was terrible in Gladiator. You need a hardened, battle-hardened veteran general in Gladiator, and he just doesn't bring that. Like he doesn't.
Oh well,
have
if you want believability about the characters, I didn't like any of the people. I didn't think any of them would be gladiators in an actual thing.
yeah.
I would say the part I guess I agree with is that I don't think I've seen anything from him that impacted the same way Oberyn Martell did. I thought he was great in Game of Thrones, like kind of standout. And then in everything else I've seen him in, I would say he's a good actor. It's just nothing that makes you go like, "Oh my god, you should check that out. It's really good." You know.
I mean, unbearable weight of massive talent, more. Come
He's
on.
funny as fuck in that. I'm not gonna deny that. Yeah. Everyone should see that movie for him and Nick Cage.
Really do watch it. Jedi Onlooker, can EFAP 350 cover the retarded Avengers and DSP? Well, can you?
Retarded Avengers will just happen a whole bunch over time. Probably not on an anniversary because we're gonna fuck around with all kinds of stuff.
David Marshall, still no rags on Open Bar. Shame on you, drinker. He brings good media analysis, humor, banter, and some anti-woke views. He'd be great, so bring him on soon. Let's do it. Is he up for coming on Open Bar, MauLer? Can we get him?
You can fucking message him.
No, you have to do it. Yeah, I can get him on. I can get him on Discord, can't I?
Yes, you can.
Yeah. All right. Let's get him on the next Open Bar if he's up for doing that. That's fine. David Marshall, are you happy now? We're going to get him. Excuse me. Crimson Ghost, Drinker, production hell on Bradley Cooper's Paradise Lost that never was. Ideal for subtitles, thumbnail caption, Paradise Lost. Lost? I don't know much about that, actually.
It sounds interesting.
I need to do some research on it. But yeah, I'm always looking for another production hell. Taika Waititi directing Dredd is as reasonable as Michael Bay directing Schindler's List. I mean, what could go wrong? Would you not be entertained? Yeah.
I'd watch that.
Yeah, for sure.
I am much more interested in the Michael Bay remake of Schindler's List than I am in Taika Waititi's Dredd.
Imagine the explosions and the hero shots. Could be epic. Jacob, hi MauLer. I'm trying to sleep. Can you tell Drinker to keep the noise down? Thank you. I mean,
Drinker, come on.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
All right, guys. Jacob's trying to sleep. He definitely couldn't switch the stream off though and go to bed. And he has to have us be nice and quiet. Sorry, Jacob. Shh. Disregard says, in honor of all the movies that had a number in place of a letter in their titles, can you give the seven four-stick expendable fourballs and Mithrigans? Yeah. There's no way you can do seven. Evan. I don't know. Yeah.
It's the seven?
It's the seven, yeah.
The seven, then.
Seven.
Seven.
No, it's the seven.
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 I think Expendables is probably my favorite.
Expendables.
Yeah, that one sounds the best. Expendables. Yeah.
Did anyone see that movie? It was fucking awful.
It was.
Actually, I think I tried to watch it, but I can't remember it.
It feels like a
just
direct to video movie from the late 90s. It was so cheap looking. Weird. I don't know what.
Well, like
happened
Statham's the only one left now, right? Like it's his movie.
Stallone's
pretty
in
much.
it for like 5 minutes, but there's not much going on. It was just sad. Megan Fox was in it as well, wasn't she?
People were in it, I think.
People
Hold on,
did things. Choices were made.
I did watch it. Wasn't it nominated for a Razzie?
It should have won.
All the
Because I always watch all the Razzies movies, so I did see it. It's about Jason Statham going onto a boat and he rescues a bunch of people. And Megan Fox is his girlfriend, right? Yeah, I did see that movie. Yeah, it's
plastic
terrible.
Megan Fox. It's sad what she looks like now, man.
Yeah.
So much work done.
It worked in Subservience.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
because then she's supposed to be a silicon robot.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to do any acting or anything. It's perfect for a Jester of Roanoke, R.I.P. Hulk Hogan and Ozzy. What a terrible week it has indeed been. Echoed here. What a rough week it's been, gents. R.I.P. to Hulk Hogan and Ozzy Osbourne. Absolutely. Anna Nielsen, congrats to both of you on 13,000 Saints and Sinners volumes sold. Now MauLer can buy a new mic arm that doesn't collapse like Boogie's during a tantrum.
It's worked so far in this 3 minutes. It's been all good.
Sounding good, yeah. But yeah, 13,000 sales. That's pretty good for Saints and Sinners.
Expendables 4 got 14% from critics on Rotten Tomatoes.
Ooh.
I think they were being generous.
Reviews.
That is overrated, yeah.
Even
Phantom
the positive reviews are the stunts are good, but the backdrops are questionable. So,
Yeah.
Drops a question.
90% of that movie was green screened. I guarantee it. Critical Drinker sounds like sober Jack Sparrow. I'm working on the sobriety thing.
One of the positives is there is arguably only one extended sequence that pays its way. Fresh.
Wow. That's a fresh.
Yeah.
Like, literally, there's one good thing about the entire movie. Fresh review.
There's one extended sequence. Statham's is the only one that works. Not only as the leading man, but also a lightning rod to spark his co-stars into action when needed. So they liked one sequence in Statham, and that was enough.
Wow.
Was it the Grace Randolph Borderlands review where she's like, well, the movie's pretty shit, but if you like, what's her name, the lead actress, then you'll like this movie. So fresh. And it went up from 0 to 4%. She ruined it with a fantastic review.
She's like an even more retarded Chris Stockman, where like I think she got to Last of Us season 2 and just said like, I can't review this anymore because it's bad, but I'm not allowed to say that it's bad, so I'm just not going to talk about it anymore. It's like, okay, it's impressive. Beach Lover says, why are you telling us all this? Let's talk about Fantastic Four. We did talk about Fantastic Four. We talked about it muchly. Dwarner here says, MauLer, did you know Hans Zimmer was the composer for Dragon Age The Veilguard? Cheers, guys. I hope you guys are doing well.
Hey, man. Sometimes you just need to do a job to get the job done, and that's okay, you know. Hans has done some great stuff.
He's doing the next series of Euphoria, which seems like the most wild, random thing ever.
I mean, it'll be epic in that case, then.
Yeah, they're not waves, they're mountains.
We've all got a bit of Pedro inside us. Wouldn't surprise me as he is a capital D daddy now, though I think we're all a little bit inside Pedro. I mean, possibly, yeah.
What even was that marketing stuff from? Were they trying to destroy the movie?
Well, that's been going on for years, and towards the end of Fantastic Four, they started to get annoyed by it. There was one clip where someone says daddy, and like Vanessa gets really annoyed by it and starts getting miserable, and then it switched to Yummy Old Man is the new one that he's taken on, and he says it's creepy, but he kind of likes it.
Whatever works for you, Pedro.
Remember when they used to talk about the movie or the characters?
Well, all of this seems to have changed with I can't remember what it was, the Wicked, the Wicked musical one, where they got loads of press because they were holding each other's hands and fingers and stuff, and I think it's like trying to be replicated now. Superman did very similar marketing.
Like, eventually they're just going to start fucking in the middle of an interview.
Do you guys remember the comparisons that got made? Because it was like with the Acolyte, they were doing that whole Slay Queen and all that shit.
The
and they were like,
Star Wars ever.
Yeah, all that was dumb shit. And then it was like Natalie Portman in 99 or whatever getting interviewed about Padme. She's talking about the character and what she's going to do in the world and how important she's going to be going forward and how she felt about certain events. It's bizarre. You look at it and you're like, she talking about the story? Like, what the fuck are you doing?
It's similar to how advertisements have changed. You know, you look at a car commercial from the year 2000 and it's just a guy driving a car and a hot girl gets into the car and she smiles and they drive off. You get a car commercial today and it's a bunch of freaks coming out of a yellow box and walking around a pink landscape. And
could that work out for you, Jaguar?
Yeah, but have you seen Sydney Sweeney's new advert?
Yes.
Oh man, that one's awesome.
They contrasted that with like the adverts from like 5 or 6 years ago, where it was this gigantic, obese black woman. Yeah. And it's just like, okay, this is where we've changed. It's like, nature's healing. I see. Nice.
Their stock's gone up like 20%. They made all the money back for the marketing campaign back in 2 hours from the stock going up in price. So
yeah. I mean, like, put her in a fucking superhero movie in a spandex costume, you will make bank. Guarantee it. Who cares what the script is? It could be nothing. It could be improv. You know, it's like she understands the assignment. We all do.
I will say,
embrace it.
Ads these days, it is a funny game to see who can guess the actual product first, and then by the time you get to the end of the ad, no one knows.
There was one in the cinema where they're carrying an egg and they're dropping it down to the beat of a music. One. Yeah, and then they hold this guy and they dunk him in a river, and he comes up as KFC. And I'm like, what is happening?
It's the chicken
encouraging cannibalism.
Makes sense.
Did you just get a trailer for Avatar, the new Avatar
Yes.
movie? Yeah. Did that make you feel absolutely nothing? Because I looked at it and thought that's a nice tech demo.
I felt the
pretty.
same way about Avatar 2, to be honest, though.
Oh,
so-
yeah.
And Avatar 1.
Ugh,
Yeah.
that'll be fun.
The thing is, that movie will probably make $2 billion. That's the insane thing. Nobody will remember
Yay.
it like the day
Don't-
after it comes out.
Don't badmouth Avatar in Little Platoon's presence. He's a big
God.
fan.
Oh no, no. I see. I can't even joke about it. I hate them so much.
What's the next one? Sorry. This stream is clearly lacking Pedro action. I mean, we tried our best. We tried to bring all the Pedro. Yeah, hold on. Let me. There you go. There's some more. My Pedrometer broke. It's just over 5,000. These profile pics are eerie. Yeah, that's the idea. Oh yeah, we did that one. The auction house sound effect. Oh yeah, the online writer coping over South Park now. Yeah, they came back with a bang, didn't they? They were.
Yeah, there'd be some discourse happening over South Park for
There
sure.
sure be, MauLer. There sure be. Kashakus. What's the over-under on Pedro getting Me Too'd? I don't know, man. I feel like one day I'm going to end up making a crash and burn like video about him, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, there's a vibe, and it's not necessarily a good one. Cyber Mist says, Happy Pie and Beer Day from Utah. It's always a good day to have pie and beer, I would say. Black Dynamite, Matt Stone and Trey Parker sold out hard.
Did you watch the episode in
Doesn't
which
it just
they
go after
the
everyone?
entire episode is taking the piss out of the company they just signed a deal with, as well as the president you'd rather they not be taking the piss out of? It's like there's selling out, and then there's whatever South Park did, which I think is kind of the opposite.
Yeah. It's like people just, I don't know, like they sometimes lose sight of the fact like South Park's job is to kind of make fun of everyone. It makes fun of both sides and goes after everybody, which is what it should do. And
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
People always seem to forget as well, like the more like humorless and precious you get, the more likely it is someone is going to take the piss out of you because you're insufferable.
Yep.
And it gets funnier. The more you react, the funnier
Yes.
it is.
Yeah.
That's a really funny thing. The funniest part of the episode is actually quite good, but the funniest thing is that the White House commented on a South Park episode to call it irrelevant.
Yeah, to call it irrelevant after their fucking $1.5 billion deal or whatever. It's like, what the fuck? They're making shit tons of money. They've got all this pressure from their own company, and they're making fun of it. And then they're commenting on shit. The thing that always struck me as crazy about South Park is that they comment on shit that happens like days prior.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause
Like,
the way
their
that they
turnaround
produce
is
episodes.
insane.
Absolutely
It's
nuts.
6 days, right? That's how long it takes to put an
Yeah.
episode out, and then they submit the final version basically the night before it's supposed to go live.
Which they're like one of the only shows that can get away with that because it's part of the charm that the animation is so shit.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we love
exactly.
it.
And it's like, yeah, you're obviously not watching it for the visuals. It's just like, what's the satire going to be this time? Phobo says, when creating worlds with superheroes... oh, yeah, we asked that one already. I remember doing that one. Sorry. Yeah, Drinker. Kurt Russell, born in 1951. The Thing from Another World, released in 51. He starred in the 82 remake, The Thing. Coincidence? Probably. Cheers. Nah, it's not coincidence. It was meant to be. I'll do a couple more. Yeah. Starbucks Meg. Thoughts on Mass Effect game being made by the Fallout Amazon team? Fast and Furious 9 screenwriter Daniel Casey. Did any of the panel play the games? So the Mass Effect games.
I'm afraid not.
I did a long time ago, and remember liking the first two. I don't remember much of the third one, and I don't think I played. Is it Andromeda? Is the one that came out after?
Yeah, I
don't
think that
I've
was
touched it.
considered a bit controversial. Andromeda. But yeah, I never quite got into them. I've heard they're absolutely amazing, and I 100% believe it. I just have not had like 500 hours to play all of them because they are big games. Yeah, maybe the real Pedro was the friends we made along the way. P.S. Vote for Pedro. Will do. Oh yeah, we should have added rainbow stickers to our avatars. I'm sorry, I just didn't have time. You know.
The reason why I didn't choose that picture is I just automatically assumed somebody else would. So
Cannon Falderall, Drinker, 1951 Superman and the Mole Men released theatrically. George Reeves' first turn as Superman before going on to star in the 1950s TV show. Cheers. Well, there you go. There's a factoid for all of us. And here's a question. Big T, which was better, Guns Superman or Fantastic Four? I say Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Fantastic Four is a better put together movie, but if I had to watch one of them again, I'd probably watch Superman.
Honestly, man, I'd rather watch Fantastic Four again. Superman is just, it's a headache-inducing mess.
I also get more and more annoyed each time I have to look at Superman, which is not really what I want to be watching movies for.
I've only watched it once, so I got swept away in the pace and can't really remember any of it. So it'd be like watching it for the first time.
Gentlemen, I will probably finish up there for tonight. Actually, just before I do, I want to see if there's any member chats here, just because I don't want to miss them out, because then they vanish. Hold on. Yep, Shootin' Kittens has become a YouTube member, so welcome aboard, sir. Let's see if there's any other one. Yeah, Ian So Forth gifted 10 Critical Drinker memberships, so much appreciated. Starbucks Meg says, big fan of all the panel. Good drinker fixes work for any of the July blockbusters. I mean, I couldn't fix Jurassic World Afterbirth. I'd have to just remake the entire movie. I feel like probably you could tweak Fantastic Four and make it a much better movie. Like the building blocks are absolutely there. It just needs a little bit more in places. So I think you could do something with that. That one guy says the Fantastic Four flop. This means K-pop Demon Hunters is the movie of the summer.
K-pop Demon Hunters is interesting because I think it was like its 4th or 5th week, and it's just hit a viewer high. So it's just word of mouth is carrying that one.
Logan Johnson, R.I.P. the Prince of Darkness, Hulk Hogan, and Malcolm Jamal Warner for all the good times that you've brought everyone. Cheers to the panel as well. Thank you very much, my friend. Let's see if there's one more. Think that was the last of them. Oh yeah, Roberts has become a new member there, and Jesus de Villas gifted a Critical Drinker membership, so thank you very much. But yeah, I think that was the last of them right there. So yeah, gentlemen, I want to say thank you very much for coming on to do this little discussion of Fantastic Four tonight, especially. It's been great to have you guys on as always. And
thank you.
The links to everyone's channels are in the description. So if you're not subscribed to these fine gentlemen, then please do. And yeah, for everyone who sent us super generous super chats, we appreciate you as we always do. And if there's ones that we've missed tonight, we will, as always, cover them on last orders. But right now, that is all we've got for today. So go away now.
Bye.
So yeah.